The podcast on Haunted Hill will contain spoilers and swearing.
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
Thanks for this, Michael. Be one of us.
I didn't tell you my name.
Hang up.
I didn't tell them my name.
They're all part of it. They're all parts of it.
It is time to keep your appointment.
Hello and welcome to the podcast on Haunted Hill, episode 129, 129. My name is Gav.
My name is Dan, 129, and I'm feeling fine because I'm drinking mulled wine because it's Christmas time.
Very good. Merry Christmas, ladies, boys, ghouls, non-gendered, aliens,
extraterrestrials,
everybody. Welcome. Come join us by the fire as Dan and I take you back to yonder, where we look at different things going on in the world. Movies, adventures, stories, different segments we have.
What's happening? Merry Christmas to you, Gavin.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to our listeners.
Merry
and
Christmas.
everybody.
As you can hear, some nice jingly jangly music.
It's our annual Christmas episode, which also, if you're a first-time listener, then you're about to hear something very exciting. If you're a long-time listener, you'll know what I'm about to say, because this is also our 9th anniversary of podcasting. This episode, because 9 years ago, at Christmas time, we decided to record an episode. That was episode 1, many years ago. So
we recorded episode 1 again.
Yes, we did, because we did not press record. You can't make this
too
shit up.
drunk to be a fly on the wall.
So, happy anniversary as well. 9 years of podcasting. That's insane, isn't it?
It's a bit weird because I don't know, it's never ever really felt a chore. It's been the odd time I'm a bit like, oh, fucking hell, I've got a podcast tonight. But not in a negative way, just because time's short or whatever. But it's always been fun and not a chore, and I just enjoy doing this, it's lovely. And the fact that you lovely patrons give us something makes us feel so much like, yay! Makes it all worthwhile, and obviously all you listeners, just for listening, thank you, makes it worthwhile. But yeah, never realised I've been doing it for 9 years, and it's good.
And even if you don't listen and you're just on the Facebook page, which I know some people are just on live in the community.
So they won't know this because they won't know that what you're about to say because they don't listen.
Won't, no. But I'm just going to talk about them behind their back. We love them as well.
So maybe get them to listen right on the Facebook page. We've been talking about you guys who don't listen.
Your ears burning because we've been talking about you in the latest episode.
But yes, very much enjoy podcasting. Made a lovely little family of everybody, even if I'm rubbish and don't speak to anybody and message people, joining on anything at all. But that's just me and how I am as a person. Daniel does that.
You're like the busy dad in the 80s that's never really around very much.
Doing coke.
I mean, you're currently sat in a white wife beater, just like...
I don't think you
Bruce
call
Willis.
it that anymore, can you?
No, you can't call it wife. My boss said that to me in the summertime on a group chat, at a group meeting, like a video meeting, because I still work from home, and he said, oh, Dan's got his wife beater on, and I said, oh, not sure we are calling them that anymore.
No, I don't think... I think just a vest. A Bruce Willis vest, a die-hard vest,
It's a die-hard vest, that's what you need to say.
Considering that, my boiler is busted, so there's a slight drip going on, but it's really warm in here, because all of a sudden the temperature's gone up, because it's fucking freezing recently. I was driving down the road the other day, this is what's like England time with this weather at the moment, driving down the road, and my wipers, the water on there, my wipers froze up. It was -5. They froze up, and I had to stop and wipe them all down, everything myself, because the wipers couldn't do it. They all froze. I was like, "What the fuck? I can't see a shit." Icy fog in front of you. It's just, oh my god.
Yeah, but we've had a very cold. It's a very cold week.
Snow in some places.
Won't mean much to anybody living in America, Canada, or other places that get extreme cold. But we've had -10. One night in Bristol.
We did a weather report podcast.
The
tangents we would have.
I know. We had -10, and then today it was 10 degrees. So I was saying to Alice, like, it's 20-degree difference from last week, which
It's
is
weird.
insane, really. And you can feel it. It feels warm, even though it's
I'm
December.
warm,
It feels
absolutely.
warm.
And literally a couple of days ago, I was shivering, honestly.
And we had snow here in Bristol. So the kids, Jack and Edith, got their first ever snow day.
Yeah, nice.
Which it kind of blew their minds a little bit, really. We wrapped them up as you do, took them out, and they were just going, "Wow, wow." Wow, just constantly, just couldn't believe what they were seeing, really. So that was great.
That's
Couldn't
amazing.
resist throwing snowballs at them.
Oh, of course not.
They weren't very impressed.
So yes, Christmas time. I hope everybody is fine, well, dandy, and everybody is happy in the world, and you're all ready for Christmas, even if you don't celebrate it. I'm not a huge celebrator anymore. I used to be back in the day a bit more, but my kids are a little bit older than that, and I don't really care. I'm an atheist and all that, but it's fun to give a few prezzies and see people and eat some food and stuff, so that's always nice. And I do enjoy getting back out and pulling out the DVDs and watching the horror DVDs and the comedy DVDs and just deck the halls with Danny DeVito. I love that movie. It's shit, but I love it.
Yeah, I watched it recently myself. We'll come on to shit films in a minute that we love at Christmas. Yeah, and it doesn't need to. You don't need to be religious to celebrate it. I think you can. Happy holidays, season's greetings. I think the focus really it should be just spend a couple of days, if you can, with some loved ones and some friends. Treat yourself, whether that be some lovely food or a couple of drinks or giving a gift to somebody or receiving a gift, eating some sweets, whatever it is. Just relax and enjoy. And hopefully this is, if you're a long-time listener, this is one of your traditions. I know we've got some listeners that like to listen to our Christmas episode around about the season. So
we've recorded back in my old house, which I used to have a nice fireplace. I used to sit there and sometimes record the episode and next to the fire. Just get so hot. We did it. You and I have done it. Yeah.
And we got very drunk several times.
Got very hot sitting there with your rosy cheeks as you get more and more drunk. And it's just like at the end of it, like, oh.
I gave some rambling speech about how the magic of Christmas was real. That was like our second or third Christmas episode.
Well, lucky patrons, you get to review and listen to the old episodes frequently each week. So at some point, look out for that.
Yeah.
And I don't even drink anymore, so it'd be quite amusing for myself to go back and listen. I'd be like, what am I on about? Exploding my words, you know.
Patrons are, if you're a patron, I'll cover this off at the end, but Gav just mentioned that you get a free t-shirt, but you also get some bonus content when we occasionally put it up, but you also get our old episodes. I'm publishing them every Friday, so about to publish 2018's Easter special.
And you get to choose 2 movies for us to review every once in a while.
You do.
Really enjoyed last episode. Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, thank you again, Jamie. That was fantastic.
Good. Straight Jacket, I liked Straight Jacket more than Baby Jane. I thought it was a great film, really good film. I loved the angles and the shadows and things. It's good.
So Christmas time, before we kick things off, I've got a giant cup of mulled wine, and I've got some mince pies lined up. I know you don't drink anymore, but you've got some Pepsi Max and pop.
I've got some
Pop.
Pepsi Max. There is actually, I've got some coffee going to be on the brew in a minute, and there is a full tub of Quality Street. But as Sarah has told me, I'm not allowed to eat while we podcast.
That's true.
Right,
So
it's
on
very
our
naughty
breaks,
of me.
we take
Even
some
though
breaks.
I think in my own head, when me just moving away from the microphone and cupping my hand like this stops it happening, it doesn't happen. You can still hear me going.
So if anybody hears Gavin eating throughout the episode, I'd like you to A, point out what minute, what timestamp it is, and B, what Quality Street it is.
I was going to say, B, guess what Gav has in his mouth?
Well, we used to play that game a long time ago. But moving forward, crap films. We love eating sweets and watching crap films. So you watched Deck the Halls, I watched that as well. And actually,
I actually don't mind that, mate. It's not. I say it's crap. It's not actually crap. It's a fairly well produced film, and I love the fact that Danny DeVito's this like shoddy like car salesman. It's just like, I've got an idea. It's brilliant. With the hot wife, which is quite funny.
The funny thing about that film is Danny DeVito hated everybody on set, didn't speak to anybody on set.
You're
flew
joking?
in. He only appeared on set for his scenes, and then didn't speak to anybody else. And then obviously you've got Matthew Broderick in it, who killed someone in a hit and run.
Yeah.
Got away with it because he's famous. It's like a very strange
I didn't know that about the movie. I've never actually looked at any trivia for that film.
I'm sorry to ruin it.
No, it doesn't ruin it at all. That's funny though, because I really enjoy that movie. But yeah, I can imagine it as a payday, or you owe someone a favour.
It really was. Danny DeVito said, and Matthew Broderick said, they feel like they hit rock bottom in their career with that film. And personally, I feel it gets worse every time I watch it, but I still watch it almost every year.
I think it gets better. I like it. I really like it.
I still like it. My favourite bit.
I don't know why.
I don't know why my favourite bit is still the bit where they're like, "Ooh, yeah!"
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
The hot girls, and then it's their daughters. It's like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So yeah, that's a crap movie I watch every year. And I just watched it the other night.
My bit in that film though is when he's the guys at the car salesman on his first day of work say to Danny DeVito, but you bet you can't sell a car to that guy over there, and he's like, yeah, just watch me. He goes out and sells it, and the guy comes in and it's the manager. I've just bought one of my own cars at sticker price too. And just walks off, and I was just I enjoyed that, but I don't know.
You can't go wrong with Danny DeVito.
That's the thing. If it wasn't Danny DeVito, I probably wouldn't. You know, it's Danny DeVito
and his hot wife. I watched Jingle All the Way the other day. I watch it every year. I don't know why I love this film so much.
I'm going to show it to Elijah. I showed him the trailer and I tried to explain. I said, it's the Get to the Chopper guy, yeah? and you know, because after that.
It's so silly, but it also feels very Christmassy because of all the bright colours in it, and everyone's drinking cocoa, and it's just like a silly film about a guy trying to get a present for his kid. And it's just, if it wasn't Arnie in it, funny enough, Danny DeVito and Arnie. How strange it was just talked about this.
They're still going ahead with that new Twins movie, but with a dude who's
Tracy
really
Morgan.
unfunny. He's really unfunny, so I need to get a memo to him and say, you're going to ruin it, you're going to ruin this, go back with Eddie Murphy. It works because he's the same age. Just what are you doing? Anyway, what else have I watched? I've watched a few bits, but I did some M.R. James with Sarah, some of the old BBC Ghost stories, some real good ones. I really enjoyed them, I'd not seen before actually. That's quite good. And obviously the movies for this.
I watched The Grinch, the Jim Carrey Grinch.
I introduced Elijah to The Grinch, and he sat there. He can normally do 45, because kids nowadays, he did about 45 minutes normally, and then he's like tuned out. Did the whole film, no problem at all, because it's Jim Carrey. He's so good at performance.
He's incredible in that film.
So good.
But they're making a horror movie of The Grinch called The Mean One, which I think could be really good if they do it right. Imagine if Jim Carrey went full evil in that film. Like, The Grinch is supposed to be pretty evil. Obviously, that was a kid's film, but imagine if he goes... It was quite scary at times, I feel like.
Yeah, it has that darkness to it, and the fact that he kind of looks at his dog, and it's just...
I love him, and he's so good. Obviously, I watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
I'll be doing that Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
That's my thing.
And I'd like to let everybody know, because you'll all forget about this by the time next Christmas comes around, to celebrate our 10-year anniversary. Our next Christmas episode next year, 2023, will be us discussing the classic National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
You're telling the audience next year's episode.
They're not going to remember.
No. We could do something else, and eventually you get someone will be listening and go, hang on, and then they all forget to message us anyway. You didn't say that a year ago.
Shall we talk about some Christmas horror? Because I haven't really been watching much other than Christmas films, really. So there's some new Christmas horror films that have come out recently, which I thought was worth very quickly discussing. I haven't seen any of them, but they all sound very good. And I thought it might be a good idea just to sort of recommend a few Christmas horror films as well. We're doing that to get everybody in the mood, in the spooky season. So this year alone, we've got a couple of new ones. We had Violent Night come out this year, which I've heard is a very violent, good version of Home Alone meets Die Hard.
I'm really hoping over Christmas they're going to release it for rent.
I'm hoping so too.
Because Sarah and I had the opportunity to go to the cinema to watch it, but I was like, you know what? I kind of just want to sit with my feet up with you, lying on the bed.
Yeah,
I don't really want to watch this in the cinema. So
our buddy and fellow podcaster who I do my other show with, Blame It on the Aliens, RJ McCready went to watch Violent Night at the cinema, and he said he thoroughly enjoyed it. He said it knew exactly what it was trying to be, and apparently it name checks Home Alone and Die Hard in it, so it's very good. And I think the director is someone quite big. I think it's the director of Dead Snow.
Yes, that's Sarah said that to me. Yeah,
so that's one. And also this year we got another one which is available on Prime, and I probably will check it out this Christmas, called Christmas Bloody Christmas, which I heard Bo and, well, actually I heard Jamie talking about this on her show.
This is
with
an
Bo.
old one.
No, 2022. It's about the army are making these robots, and then they decommission the project.
Yeah.
So they send them out to a shopping mall and dress it as Santa, and it still wants to be a killer machine, and it goes around. Apparently, it's one of the most violent Christmas films you've ever seen. It's got a comedy, obviously, and it's available on Shudder through Prime. So if you've got that, so I will check that out in the next couple of days, see what that's like. So that's 2 this year alone. There was one last year we discussed, which we never got around to watching, unless you've seen it, with good old Keira Knightley in it, called Silent Night.
It doesn't. There's no appeal to me.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. It's an existential, sort of dread type film about the end of the world. I probably will check it out at some point.
Yeah, let me know. I still haven't seen that one with Fat Man, one with Mel Gibson.
Yeah. That's like a black comedy, isn't it? That one.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out, I think, at some point.
Yeah, despite him being a racist piece of shit, I still do like to watch Mel Gibson. I shouldn't probably, but I can usually separate the art from the artist, and I think, you know, he's put what his personal life aside. I still will watch him now and again. I really enjoyed the dragged. What was the one he did? Was it Dragged Across Concrete? He did.
He did do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
He's done a few bits of buzz. I like that one where he's a prisoner in that foreign.
Oh yeah, that was good as well.
Was it? Oh, no, I don't know. No, Foreigner. The Foreigner's a good movie. That's with Jackie Chan, isn't it? Have you seen
Jackie Chan and Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, not a bad movie. I did tell you what I did watch, but I watched it at the end of November, and it's the first one I did, and it's a film I really enjoy watching each year. It's a comedy movie, and it's a sequel, and I don't bother the first one because I don't think it's very good. But the second one's good, which is weird. It's Bad Santa 2.
I've never seen the second one.
It's better than the first one. Bad Santa 2 is fucking hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Everybody, if you don't believe me, just check that movie. If you like crude humour, it's fucking hilarious. The first one's not that funny, but the second one is better because the little kid is grown up.
Okay.
And he comes to find him, and he said, "What the fuck? What the how size you are? What the fuck are you doing here? I've come to find you. What do you mean?" And it's it's actually a really good film.
I didn't like the first one, you see.
Watch the second one.
Okay, I'll add it to my list.
Give it a go. It's on Prime. Yeah.
2021, we also got a vampire Christmas film called Red Snow, which I've never seen, but apparently it's very good. It's a horror comedy.
The blood, though, I'll tell you that. The look of blood on the snow is just very good.
Isn't it? If you want to see that done really well, we covered 30 Days of Night last year.
And the Dead Snow movies,
Yeah, really good stuff. And a 2020 movie called The Lodge, which I don't know if you've seen, Gab. I've seen it. It's very, very good.
Yeah, I saw it. I wasn't into it that much.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. Obviously, we've had a few other ones like I Trapped the Devil, which I still never got around to seeing. It sounded fantastic. We've had some remakes of Black Christmas, and then a few that I've added to my list over the years, like Better Watch Out. I watched that the other day.
I watched Wind Chill the other night.
Wind Chill, did you like it?
I've seen it before. I enjoy it. This is the problem I had with it last time. I couldn't remember it because I watched it so long ago. I was like, I'll pick it up again. I picked it up. And then I watched it the other night. I was super cold as well, so it was quite good. My boiler wasn't working, so I was just under the blankets, like watching Wind Chill. And it's good first half, and then it kind of just goes, meh.
Yeah, I remember it being a bit like that.
It's just goes, yeah, we're making a movie, aren't we? Yeah, should we just get on with it? We're all cold, tired. Should we just finish it? Yeah. So I don't know. It's not really one to keep, but I watched that. Did watch the other day another movie, Set in the Snow, which is Deadly Pursuit from 1988.
Oh, yeah, I saw you post that. I haven't ever seen that before.
Yeah, I've never seen it before. I was trying to look up old 80s action movies I've never seen, which are classed as like gems, and this is one of them, and I quite enjoyed it. Sidney Poitier and Tom Berenger after a killer, and they're just having to go up the snowy mountains of America onto the going into Canada, and Kirstie Alley's in it as well.
Talking of
Rest in peace.
Talking of 80s action, a very brief tangent. Someone pointed out to me the other day that Rambo could be classed as a Christmas film.
What? First Blood?
Yeah. Because it's set at Christmas.
It is. Yeah, because the Christmas decorations are.
I mean, we've covered it. So
that goes to the Die Hard thing. It's not a Christmas movie. It's set at Christmas.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, with Die Hard, you have fucking Run DMC's Christmas song on the soundtrack.
Well, you also have
you know.
incorporated into the soundtrack. You have Christmas music. So
And
I think
it's the instrumentation of the composer. It's the jingles, ting ting ting, and stuff like that.
Die Hard is a Christmas film, no matter what
Bruce
people
Willis,
say.
whatever he says, you know.
I think you're pushing it with Lethal Weapon. I definitely would say that just happens
That's
to
a
be
movie set at
Christmas.
like what you were saying a minute ago. But yeah, Deadly Pursuit. Check it out if you've not seen it on YouTube for free. But it does cut off at the end, probably about 2 minutes before it's supposed to. So you're like, oh, okay. But you know what happened.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Another modern classic, which I love watching every year, is Krampus from 2015.
Yes, it's a really good film. It holds it as a good horror movie. It's got good humour, good horror. It's well done.
I tell you why we like it.
Well produced.
We've
done it, haven't we?
We have, and the reason we like it is I've realised this year just how closely they steer to National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It's essentially that film.
Probably what they're going from.
A horrible
just
family
using that and
turn
change
up.
it to a horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah. But it works well, and I also love Rare Exports. I love A Christmas Horror Story with William Shatner.
I had that on the other day. Kind of in the background, but I had it on. Jaws of Revenge, you know.
Yeah.
Can't forget Jaws of Revenge. I might pull that out. We'll have a little watch. Pull out my Jaws.
Definitely pushing it. And if you really, really want a good laugh, watch the original Jack Frost. Not the one with Michael Keaton. I'm talking about the one that came out the same year. About a killer snowman.
Which we covered on episode 001.
Yeah. So, and then there's a ton of slashers. There's Gremlins. We talk about these. These come up every year. Everybody knows there's all the horror movies that are out there. You've got to, of course, make room for the granddaddy of them all, Black Christmas, which I think you're watching with Sarah soon.
Christmas Day, Die Hard, then Black Christmas.
Black Christmas, I've come to realise, I watched it the other night, and I've realised it's terrifying, really. It's very unsettling.
It's a really good film. I always try and watch it going into sort of midnight, Christmas Day night. I don't know why. It just feels the perfect time.
The remakes are absolute cat shit, aren't they? They're really bad.
Yeah, the second one...
second one was like...
I hated the killer in the second one. When we find out the killer, I was like, I just hate you.
I've never even seen the newest remake that came out a couple of years ago.
I have seen the newest one, the Blumhouse one, and I know all the behind the stories and how it's produced like super quickly, and it's really not good. There's a point when it started up at the beginning, I was like, oh, this might be actually like sneakily quite good, and then I got into a bit more, I don't know, and my attention went like when they made Declan Halls, I think, you know.
So, I've got two real-life stories to tell you before we get into we haven't said what films we're covering. Let's do that very quickly.
Even though everyone knows because they've just downloaded it.
Everybody knows that, but just for tradition's sake.
Giggles.
It's two European, Belgian, French language Christmas set.
We pulled this out the fucking bag when we last episode. Like, what we're gonna do, and we pulled it out.
So we're looking at the Advent Calendar from 2021, or Le Calendrier. Very interesting. We'll talk about it. It's on Shudder, it's on Prime. I'd recommend you watch it, but we will talk more about it when we review it. And then stepping back a few years, we're going back to 2004 because we're also reviewing Calvier, which is also known as The Ordeal.
And it is an ordeal.
It is.
I really like the film.
Deliverance tinged Christmas set.
It's European Deliverance stroke Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. We'll get into that. So we got.
I really like that, and I picked it up on DVD because I was like, I want it for my collection. I've only seen it once, but I really enjoyed it.
I described the loose plots of each of these to my wife when she asked what we were doing for our Christmas episode. She said, "Bloody hell, you're not keeping it light then?" I said, "Yeah, we've gone quite dark with the two films this year."
There's a bit in The Ordeal with which Sarah, she's just been like a little bit like phased by it. There's a bit in the barn, and I was
Yeah, that bit
I was just like, it literally didn't faze me, which is hilarious because she put on stuff. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know about this. It's like the body horror stuff that she watches. Sometimes I'll be like, oh. Speaking of which, very quickly, I did watch the new Hellraiser film, and it's really good.
Oh, really? I have heard good things about it.
It's a little long by 15 minutes, maybe 15, 20 minutes. It could be a little shorter. It's a really good film. I hope it's a standalone and they don't make another one like Hellraiser 2. It's a really good film. I recommend that movie because I thought it was going to be all gross. The first one's gross, but I love the first movie, but it gets under my skin. There's a lot of it out, like bringing a man home for sex in the daytime. What the hell? I was young when I first watched it. It was so many things which was like
it's all about
all these
Frank,
taboos.
Uncle
Frank and just everything about that movie is just gross. But I love it.
It's all really
it's a proper horror movie.
And
gory and I never understood it as a kid. I was watching it going, what the I don't understand this movie, and I know it's all weird. But
the only way to describe the old just before you say that, the only way I describe, there's one word to describe the original Hellraiser, and that is sticky. It
is sticky. Frank is sticky. You could have a T-shirt with just Frank's face on it.
Frank is sticky.
I'm sticky. I'm sticky. Give me a kiss. Come here, Julia. And then again, wanting to get a kiss off the daughter. Ugh. But the new one isn't as sticky. Actually, it's a little bit more finesse to it, but it's a different way of doing it this time. They've just gone about it a different way with the puzzle box, and I really like it. And I'm going to give it a recommend for Podcast on the Hot Hill from my side.
Amazing. Well, it's on my watch list, so I will get around to it eventually.
Really worth a watch. I'd put high up on your list because if you want to watch horror movie, it's a decent movie.
Okay, cool.
Wasn't expecting it to be.
Nice. Amazing. Well, I've got 2 real life stories that happened this week, and then we'll crack on then, I guess, with the advent calendar. So, first of all, you're wearing a Die Hard vest. I've got a story that relates to that. I had all my family over yesterday for fake Christmas because we're going to be with Alice's family for Christmas. So all my family were here, lots of adults, and my twins running around who are 18 months now. And my sister very sweetly got them lovely little framed pictures. We forgot that one of them was on the floor. Jack ran over, stood on the glass. It shattered. He sort of fell over. I managed to save him from falling onto the broken glass. Edith then, in the midst of all the chaos, decided she was going to fall over onto the glass, so I had to then catch her as well and kick her out. I kicked her out of the way. I felt so bad, but it was that or land face first on loads of broken glass. Everything seems to be okay. Good, that's all right. Hang on a minute, what's that? Loads of tiny little bloody footprints all over the rug, and Jack's cut his foot open, bless him. So I had to take him upstairs, check for broken glass in his foot. Deep? It was deep enough that it bled all night. It stopped bleeding overnight.
But not stitches?
And no stitches. And then this morning it stopped, so it's all fine now. But yeah, that was a little Die Hard moment there for me.
I got it. Yeah, little footprints, brilliant.
Yeah, little bloody footprints.
If Jack had been in a little vest, I know it'd been bad, but you could have quickly pulled out your phone and filmed him quickly running across the map with his bloody feet.
He was in dungarees.
Vest would have been great, wouldn't it?
Imagine
quickly
that
shave his head.
My son.
Film it, Alice, film it.
How can we be making millions out of this?
Push him through that air vent.
And then the other thing is a bit of a spooky story, Gav.
Quick segue there. Podcast that I do, the High Strangeness podcast with my dearest Sarah. We've just done episode 52, which is on ghosts and everything spooky. If you fancy some spooky stuff at Christmas and the lore, go check that out. But it is that time of year for Ghost Dance, so please.
So
I've
mentioned that the house I live in now with Alice that we own for the last 8 years, it's got a vibe to it. There's definitely a presence here, not a harmful presence, but over the last couple of years, I think I've mentioned to you, Gav, and I probably mentioned it on the show, and that door slammed that time. There's a door I'm pointing at, listeners. Now on the other side of that door is my hallway, and there's that section of the hallway is the section that me and Alice believe that there's a presence in. For some reason there is something about that area, and we walk past looking down from the upstairs down, and you can see shapes, you can see a shadow, you always feel like there's somebody there. And I was listening to another podcast the other day, and they mentioned something called shadow people, And they didn't really go into it, so I Wikipedia'd what that was. And shadow people is a phenomenon where people see or feel like there's somebody in the corner in a shadow. And there's many theories. Some people believe it's aliens, and they're sort of observing us through these like portals that appear as a shadow. Other people believe that they are ghosts, but they appear as shadows. There is one particular phenomenon within it called the Hat Man. And people believe that they see a very wide-brimmed, almost ridiculously wide-brimmed hat on this person, and it's a very strange shape. It feels human, but it's a weird shape. Now, do you remember I've told you, Alice and I believe it feels like the sort of shape of a tent, very pyramid sort of. So when I read that, I got goosebumps. So I said to Alice, look, we're seeing Hat Man. That's what we're seeing here. At the bottom of the stairs, and we're feeling him when we feel he's there. It's Hat Man because we both describe the same shape, like very almost like a sombrero and then a huge cloak, and it's similar to what like a plague doctor would wear, those sort of hats. Anyway, that's pretty spooky. That I read about that.
Me and Sarah are gonna have to come to yours and do a live episode.
It gets better because Alice has TikTok. And everybody's going crazy for AI at the moment, especially AI images. So she took a picture of our living room from the sofa just to see what AI would do. AI put this strange angel demon thing on the floor in our living room, sort of looking at us.
Oh my God.
So I said to her, right, I'm going to go and take a picture of that section of the hallway, because there's like one or two coats hanging on the back of the door and not much else there really. There's like a frame on the mantelpiece. So I took a picture of it with AI, and AI created a person stood there with a hood up facing away from us, so you can only see the back of the hood, so it doesn't want its face to be seen, and it's sort of stood up against, like it's right up against the door, like it's trying to like hide from the light or something.
Or hide from the camera.
Showed her. Yeah, and I showed her that. She was like, what the fuck? I was like...
You got to send me these pictures.
Well, I don't think she's got them anymore, but we'll take another...
You haven't got them?
Because you can't save... I don't think you can save them.
Screenshot! Just fucking save screenshot your phone.
Maybe I'll try and get her to do it again. Hopefully, again, if it doesn't...
Sounds so good.
But, yeah, I was pretty freaked out by that.
Oh, we're going to have to come there. Me and Sarah have to film an episode.
So there we go. That's my little spooky story. Yeah, imagine that.
Well, I remember that time we were recording, something went behind you, wasn't it?
A couple of things. That door slammed.
And when you were in the other room as well, the moose had moved in it or something.
No, the chair hit me in the leg.
Oh, the chair moved, that's right, yeah.
And I really shrieked, didn't I? I was very...
That was weird, yeah.
What happened here, actually, was that the door opened, which is impossible, because you've got to turn the handle to release the mechanism to open the door. And so... I don't know how that happened that time, and I was on my own. Alice was away. We hadn't had the kids at that point, and I remember just saying to you, I'm too scared to go out there.
I know, but yeah, it is Christmas time, spookies, and yeah, like I said, if you want to check it out more, me and Sarah talked all about it, and she went into depth with it. But yeah, spooky stuff. I love spooky things.
Spooky stuff. Well, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Ghostmas, and
yeah.
That's the intro, not the outro. That's the intro. Let's have a trailer for our first film, which is the Advent Calendar from 2021, and after that we will open up all the little doors and find out what's going on in each one of them.
Ooh, what's in here? Oh, how did it go? That's better. We'll be right back.
Si vous regardez ceci, c'est que vous avez reçu un calendrier de l'Avent. Respectez les règles. Qu'est-ce que tu fais là? Joyeux anniversaire. Un calendrier de l'Avent? Respecte toutes les règles jusqu'à l'ouverture de la dernière fenêtre, sinon je te tue. Attention! T'en avales un, faut les avaler tous. Jésus dit au paralytique, lève-toi et marche. Tu devrais arrêter avec ce calendrier, ça va te rendre dingue. Tu prends bien tes médocs contre tes hallucinations, tout ça? Je marche.
Tu devrais arrêter d'avaler toutes ces saloperies-là.
Ton calendrier va exiger d'autres sacrifices. D'autres personnes vont devoir mourir.
Cette nuit, tu me fous la paix.
Here we go. So, our first review for our Christmas special 2022 is, as we said, a French language, Belgian, European film called The Advent Calendar.
I literally haven't got my notes over there on the iPad, but I reckon I can reach that and still be in distance of shouting and listening. So you carry on, Dan. Talk about this movie quickly.
2021, The Advent Calendar, available on Shudder, guys. Here is the synopsis. Eva is a paraplegic. On her birthday, her friend Sophie gives her a strange advent calendar. It's not traditional treats that you find when you open each of the drawers, but quirky gifts that are scary and get bloodier and bloodier. I didn't know what to expect going into this one.
I didn't, because I've actually got Shudder again recently. I got a mega good deal. I don't really know how this is, but it's funny though, because I can't actually sign into the Shudder app. They're like, no, you don't have a subscription, but I do through Prime. But I got 99p for a month for 6 months.
That's brilliant.
I don't know why, and I was like, okay, and then it just goes to normal price. But I was going to get it again anyway because of this film, to watch this film. So I thought, oh, I'll watch some Shudder again. I go through phases with Shudder because UK library is not brilliant, and all the classic movies on there and the good movies, I already own them in my collection. Mario Bava and shit like that, you know. So, but this is I was expecting with Shudder it possibly no, some Shudder movies are quite good and stuff, some are not so good. So it is a bit of a yeah, I was quite pleasantly surprised how well this was crafted actually.
Yeah, it's very well produced, and definitely a Christmas film because the whole plot revolves around her opening an advent calendar. Not to spoil it, I mean, we are going to be spoiling it as we get into it, but just very quickly, what I would say is this is almost like The Ring meets Seven, because you know there's a curse you've got to do something every day, which is open the door and follow the rule. So that you've got like the time frames of The Ring, but also the way that the deaths and the things that happen it's very similar to Seven or I guess Jigsaw or Saw in a way. It's just a little bit darker than I was expecting, which is great.
Yeah, but it's just kind of give it another sort of what it is very briefly. We get into it more. Just someone's been given the idea. Someone's given this advent calendar, and each door, things are like there's a sweet in it, and we're getting to this more anyway. But you're eating this sweet, and each time you eat, you got to eat all the sweets. But each time, like this door, something happens. But because it's like obviously 24 doors. You're like, 25 doors.
24.
24. And because of that, it's a timer. And it's always good in films when you have timers. You've got 30 minutes to detonate the bomb. Or it's 2 minutes to detonate. You have something to build up to and to get to. And everybody, it's a good way for giving people visual story geography of knowing where you are in a film. And it's great with this. So every time it goes, for me, I'm like, okay, day 2, day 3. And you know really it's got building up.
Works really well for me in the Blair Witch Project, the original one. Every time it starts getting dark, your heart sinks for them a little bit because you think, what is going to happen next? And the other one that works really well is Paranormal Activity because it even says day 3.
That's a perfect example as well. It's when it's telegraphed to you on the screen. Yeah. In a way, yeah.
It's a good way of almost scaring you without even showing you anything. It's just sort of like...
Even in some ways, speed, not dropping the speed. That keeps the drama elevated.
I never thought you'd get Keanu into this.
Watched that again very recently and thought to myself, yeah, this is shit. A fucking shit movie.
I'll tell you what, it's not as shit as Speed 2.
Oh, isn't that with...
Willem Dafoe.
What is the baddie? But the goodie, isn't the good guy that bald guy who's in that boat movie with Nicole Kidman and Sam Neill?
No, it's Jason Patrick that's in Speed 2.
Oh, yeah, that's it. He's the same sort of thing, though. Jason Patrick and... what's he called?
Billy Zane.
Billy Zane and Jason Patrick. Same sort of realm, really.
Yeah, they're interchangeable.
Yeah. Lost Boys. He's got Lost Boys on him, you know. But then he's got Tales from the Crypt on him, so, you know.
I think Lost Boys
Celebrity fight-off match.
It peaked.
Yeah.
So the Advent Calendar, I guess we'll just get into it, really. So we've got, interestingly, the main character is a paraplegic, so she's in a wheelchair, but she can't feel anything below her waist.
But very well introduced to this lady with disability because she's swimming, so we don't know this.
Yeah.
And then she pulls herself out of the swimming pool, and it's one of the other swimmers is like because being a swimmer, you are going to be fucking ridiculously toned if you do that as like that sort of level that they're at. And the guy gets out and he's buff as fuck in his little speedos, and he's hey, and he sort of chats her up. Then she pulls herself out, and she's can't use her legs, and he sees
well,
that.
She's got a scar all down her spine as well.
Yeah, and he sort of looks a little bit, and obviously his original fucking mind boner is probably not so much of a mind boner anymore because he's going, oh, because you're disabled, because that's what he's coming across as a bit more of a jock type. He ends up not being so much actually. But
she says to him, I know what you're going to ask me, but before you do, could you help me? Could you just pass me my chair over there? And she points, knowing that this is going to put him off, because she. In a way, it's empowering for her because she's like, I can actually use this to tell him.
I tell you what, though, it fucking saves time dating. You wean out who's the dicks and who's not. Right, exactly. Basically, I can't use my legs, but I'm still an all right person. So, like, it doesn't actually matter too much. I just can't go for a jog with you, really, you know.
Well, he vanishes until later on in the film.
Yeah.
So Eva, I'm wondering if she's called that because she was born on December the 1st, Christmas Eve, etc. Maybe, I don't know, but
lives at home with a dog.
She lives at home with a lovely dog, and she was born on the 1st of December. We know this because her crazy friend Sophie turns up.
I didn't know this. I'm glad you let me know this, my friend.
Yeah, it's her birthday present. So she gives her a birthday present, which is this German calendar.
I thought it was just because it was Advent. I missed that bit.
Yeah. German calendar, but it's not like your usual calendar full of chocolates or back in our days, back in the 80s, you would have had you open it and it's a different picture from the Bible or a snowman.
Absolutely. It's a very, very well crafted one. Before we get to this very, very, very quickly, we do see that she works in insurance.
Oh, that's right.
And also she has flashbacks of getting hit by a car, giving us the backstory of how she became in the wheelchair.
Yes,
we do have that. You do a little bit, yes.
Sorry, that's because we do get a flash from the end, and I probably won't bother mentioning that. But while we're talking about that, she's got a horrible boss who basically has been forced to employ her, he sees it as, because he has to employ a certain amount of disabled people. And he even says to her, it just costs so much money to get the disabled toilets refurbed, and and he's just horrible to her. But this poor girl, you know, she's a beautiful, intelligent woman.
He's strictly business.
He is, but she's this intelligent, fiercely intelligent, beautiful woman who's been through hell, and he's just being an absolute dick to her.
He just wants the figures. That's
everybody will get their comeuppance, is all I will say.
But hang on, I guess if she's gone through something bad, we don't know how long ago that is, but at the same time, though, we can't. Him being a dick, he's not being a dick. He just wants her the same as everybody else to do the same as everybody else. She obviously, being disabled, and people are disabled, want to be treated the same as their own. So, got to be sympathetic to how it happened, possibly, if that was frequent, fairly new. Do you know what I'm saying, though? He is treating her the same as everyone else.
He's not.
I'm not trying to get on the side of the bastard here.
He's really not, because especially later on when he employs somebody else, basically is just incredibly patronising to her.
He is a bit of a twat. He is trying to push her out and get in someone else, basically, which he does. So she has this very well crafted Advent calendar, and we can talk about it as it comes, like the different stuff that happens. But with the opening of the first door, we get a key. Then we get a quick split-second shot of this demon type thing turning its head. Now it's turning its head to be basically to symbolise to us, or symbolise, it's noticed someone's interested in the Advent. It's like Pinhead noticing someone's about to twist the box.
It came out of nowhere for me, and in the wrong hands, this wouldn't have worked. But this actually worked quite well, especially as you see more and more of this demon. So we now know that there's a demon attached in some way to this Advent calendar. There's Sophie. It turns out later on she reveals she stole the calendar. But at this point, she's turned up with champagne flowers. It's Eva's birthday, and she's like, "Here's an advent calendar. What better way to celebrate the run up to Christmas? Here's a birthday present." You know, it's crazy. It's a German one, and Eva says, "I don't speak German," and she says, "Don't worry, I'll translate it for you." So she translates some of the stuff, because with each chocolate, with each sweet,
got to eat them.
There's a note with a lot of them as well, or an instruction, which we'll get into as we go through each day.
And they have to be eaten, these ones as well.
You have to eat them all. So as Gav said, we get a key, and that opens it, door 1, and the chocolate she eats on that day, number 1, the rule says, eat one chocolate, you have to eat them all. You have to eat every chocolate, which most of us, I'd be like, well, obviously, the big thing for me would be try not to eat them all in one day. I will happily eat all of these chocolates over the next 24 days, but we find out there's a lot more to it than that. These rules have to be followed, Gav, don't they?
Indeed. I do like jumping ahead without trying to spoil it, but we will spoil it, obviously. But jumping ahead a little bit, I do like the fact that it kind of ends up being basically a genie in a lamp, kind of with a wish type scenario going on.
It pulls from a lot of elements. You mentioned Hellraiser. It pulls from that. It pulls from Wishmaster, which, you know, it does pull from a lot of elements, and it works so well because it's done in that very classy European kind of way. But they're not showy. They're not too. And I'm not slagging Hollywood films, but they're not showy. They're just like, here's a story.
Oh, this story's going to unfold in front of you.
Yeah, just stick along for the ride.
Yeah, you're going to see what happens at each door as we open it.
You get a kind of a vibe that you get with Haute Tension or High Tension. You know, those European movies like Inside, which was another Christmas film that we covered a long time ago. It's got a similar vibe to that. Very matter of fact with its violence and its stuff as it unfolds. But yeah, so door 2 is a
fucking 8 after 8. A fucking 8 after 8.
So for anyone not familiar with After 8, I think they're in a European. They are a mint wafer square that traditionally they're called After 8 because at dinner parties in the 80s you would pull out your After 8 mints and give them to all the guests. You get them in a lot of sort of Indian restaurants as well.
I know, I'm always gutted every time I have a curry. I like mint chocolate. It's a mint chocolate. I fucking hate mint chocolate.
But this After 8 mint is quite unique because it reminds her of her dad, who is he's far away, and he has Alzheimer's. And she says to Sophie, "Wow, that's strange. This was my dad's favourite chocolate." She doesn't eat that at this point. She'll come back.
It could just be a coincidence.
Yeah, she comes back. She'll come back to eat that in a minute. And then door 3. There's like a tarot card with a fortune in there.
And they don't flow through like this quickly with all the doors, do they?
No.
It's just at the beginning
No, they do open 2 or 3 because she's missed a few days. So they do open the first 3 doors together.
They do.
And there's a message or like a fortune from a fortune cookie in the third one that says something on the lines of, "And Jesus touched the crippled person, and the crippled person stood up and walked." A bit of foreshadowing there. So she's already opened the first 3. She hasn't eaten the After 8 mint yet, but she's already sort of like, oh,
it's quite deep though, straight from the get-go. The fact that the way like we even had a conversation about her getting out of swimming pool and his opinion of her and stuff like that, it's quite a deep film, you know.
Yeah, and it's just
wishing to be able to walk, and what would you do to have this happen? You know, it's interesting.
Now this calendar is something perhaps Jigsaw would have built because it's really well crafted, isn't it? Because at midnight, there's a little speaker in it that says in German, "It's midnight, time to open the calendar."
Fucking Jigsaw, I hate him as well. Jigsaw and fucking After 8.
"Hello, would you like to eat an After 8 mint, Kevin?"
Fuck off, Jigsaw.
"In order to escape from this dungeon of spikes,
you must
have to eat
After 8.
an entire box."
I wouldn't do it, I'd die.
You'd die.
Fucking kill me.
They'd find your body, and the cops would be going, "Oh, what's happened here then? Play the tape. What, you mean he just had to eat this 24 After 8 mints and he couldn't have escaped?" Yeah. He didn't do it. No, he hates them that much.
Fuck you, Jigsaw.
They'd phone me and say, "Yeah, so I'm sorry to tell you that Gav's dead. He was found in a dungeon with spikes." And I just go, "Don't tell me. There was an unopened box of After 8 mints next to him." "How did you know that?" "I just know him."
Was it an After 8 incident? Yeah. Classic. That's classic, anyway, classic Gav.
Classic Gav. Hates mint chocolates.
Fucking hate mint chocolates.
So, there we go. Yes, so the calendar speaks, and every midnight now, this is pretty freaky, so every midnight you're going to hear, "It is midnight, time to open the calendar. And a little crazy picture.
It's in obviously in the language is German. I thought it was German. Oh yes, because that's German, but the movie is not German. It's French,
the movie they speak
but
French.
the box is German because I remember it came up. I was like, that sounds like German. Yeah. And it basically it's basically like your smart advent calendar or something. Yeah. Bing! You can now crack on with your new chocolate, even if you're asleep and you don't want to eat right now. It's all ready to go. It's like okay.
I'll tell you what it's like, actually, this calendar. For anyone that's watched The Cabinet of Curiosities, the Guillermo del Toro show, at the beginning of each episode, he's got this huge wooden box full of different drawers and things that slide out and move around, and it's a bit like that as well, because it's a big wooden thing. Anyway, so midnight, she decides...
A complete side note here, completely just jumping off topic slightly. Well, not really, it's still on topic of this film. When her friend turned up, basically the doorbell goes, cuts to her dog, and her dog barks, right? Mm. She goes to open the door, dog vanishes for a period of long time. It's so weird. Because I was like, where's the dog? Did they let the... Oh, I guess they let the dog out to the toilet. Then it comes back to it, and there's a few more days, whatever, and there's no dog. It's like, where's the dog? It's so weird. But it's just a weird thing that I noticed, it's not very interesting.
I did not notice that.
I know. I don't know why I noticed it. I think it's because because I have a dog, and I was like, oh, where's the dog gone? Why is the dog still barking? You tell the dog to shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I don't do that to my dog. I don't tell my dog shut the fuck up. But do you know what I mean? I just, it's a weird thing, but yeah, it's not very interesting.
That's okay.
Trivia.
Well, she eats the after 8 mint, which then makes a strange clicking noise start coming out of the telephone. She picks up the phone, and her dad is on the phone, not with his Alzheimer's. He's speaking to her normally.
Yeah.
And he says, I just wanted to wish you a belated happy birthday. I miss you and I love you.
See, this movie is so interesting because that is so sad.
It really is.
And it's also a little bit spooky because we find out, like, she goes back to see him and he's in no state to be making phone calls.
Yeah.
So it's like, whoa, but she's like, no, and her friend even says, well, surely that's like an hallucination. And she's like, yeah, it must be. But whatever, I had that hallucination and it was peaceful for me and I enjoyed it. Okay.
Yeah.
If that gives you peace and that gives you some sort of comfort, cool.
It'd have been weird if he died and then she got a phone call from him.
Motherfucker, yes.
Now, two things start happening really in parallel to each other. Her life goes further and further and further down the shitter.
Yeah.
As weirder and weirder and weirder things start coming out of the calendar. So
it does. She does manage to start walking towards the end of it, but we get there.
She goes for a lot to get there. She's at work, and her horrible boss has employed a lady called Miriam. Very sexy lady, great legs. That's why he's employed her, obviously, because he's a bit of a Harvey Weinstein sort of looking character. And he's employed her to help Eva because Eva's not doing her work. She's only part-time. She doesn't put in enough work, he thinks. So he's employed Miriam to help out. Miriam's very patronising. She says things like, oh, I bet you miss using your legs, don't you? Oh, it must be really hard. I wouldn't be as brave as you. She's like, why am I brave?
I know, because she's at the desk sort of saying stuff. Going, oh, you're so brave. But the thing is, though, this girl, though, she's just completely naive.
She's a ditz,
but at the time, though, she's actually not trying to be a rude person. She is trying to go, like, you're so brave that you can do that. But at the same time, it's like, come on, fucking use your brain a little bit.
She's slightly rude when she says, I want your desk, actually. She said, why? She said, well, because you only work part-time and you've got the window seat.
Yeah. It is a little bit like
no, I've worked here longer than you, so I won't be doing that. Horrible. She has her hours cut, and she calls Sophie. She's upset. And Sophie says, look, I'll pick you up. We'll go to dinner. I'll cheer you up. You know, I'm sorry that they're treating you like this. So she's had her hours cut because she's unable to put in the amount of work because she's disabled, which you'd have a great case there, great lawsuit, really. So she goes for dinner with Sophie. And she says, my dad rang me. You know, I don't know if it's real or not, but I got a phone call from my dad. It's really weird. We end up in this restaurant, Gav, don't we?
Yes, we do.
It's like a sexy nightclub restaurant.
It is a bit, isn't it? It's a bit of a thing, yeah. Sexy restaurant.
And we get to meet Boris.
I bet the menu's just like hot dogs and things.
We get to meet Boris, who is the person that Sophie's meeting.
Is that one as a dick?
I think, yes, Boris is the dick.
Yeah.
Because
he does a naughty thing, doesn't he?
You feel like Boris and Sophie are going to get it on, and then she's brought
That's because
Eva along.
She doesn't even want to be there, our main protagonist. And she doesn't want to be there, yeah. And she's like to her friend, oh, right, I'll come along. But then she actually goes, oh, I kind of like that guy, to her friend. Her friend then vagina blocks her.
Yeah.
Literally, pussy blocks her, and goes and pulls this guy. And it's like, what the fuck? What?
It's very mean.
Why can't move?
Yeah, it's very mean.
Absolutely.
Which means that she's then lumbered with Boris, who is a real sort of slime ball, and he says, oh, I'll drive you home.
Of course he does. And this is... it's dark.
Shocking,
it's really dark, especially what she says to him as well. Oh, because he's like, oh, I thought you were liking it. Anyway, you can talk about it.
Well, she falls asleep in Boris's car, and he decides now would be a good time to sexually assault her. So he starts essentially finger banging her while she's asleep, which she can't feel because she's a paraplegic. But
we don't know. Well, we probably do know this, but we don't know this for sure because we're not her as the audience and him. And the realization is that she comes to and says, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I thought you were enjoying it or whatever." And she's like, "I can't feel it down there," and that's just like. That makes, like, what? God,
then he
Jesus
says,
Christ, man.
Then he said, well, that turns me on even more, actually.
Oh, it's just like, dude, you are not a good guy.
She tries to sort of, what can she do? She can't use her legs. So she looks at trying to get out. He then says, maybe I can just use your mouth.
And just forces her head into his lap. This bit here, I've always thought, why don't, I'm sure it must be quite hard at times, but surely, like, she would just bite his dick.
Yeah,
I'd bite it
off. I'd bite it off.
But I don't know, maybe it's too hard to because it's just restraining teeth. I'm not even going to get into this topic.
She sits up, she does fight back, and she slaps him. And as she slaps him, the demon seems quite excited. We get a clip of the demon just very quickly, seeming quite excited by what's happening, making notes to add to a list, perhaps.
It's like a bit of a negative energy vampire or something, just going, oh, nice.
So he then is such a lovely guy. He then just kicks her out the car onto the road, throws a wheelchair at her, and drives off. Lovely. She screams at him, "I hope you drop dead."
Yeah.
Oh, careful what you wish for.
Yes.
So
and now her dog's back.
Her dog's back.
This whole time, her dog's not been in my notes. Like now, her dog's back.
Dogs can go on holidays.
Where's it gone?
Maybe it's got a job. Maybe it works like shift work, 3 or 4 days.
What does it do?
It works in a hospital. So...
What, as a porter?
No, it's a doctor dog.
Doctor dog? Like Snoop Doggy Dog?
Yeah, Doctor Dog. He's cross between Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. Doctor Dog.
Doctor Dog. Doctor Doggy Dog.
Doctor Doggy Dog.
And he does what? What sort of field is he in?
He is a paediatrician. He helps children. Did
he go to education for this?
Yeah, of course. He's got his doctorate.
His doctorate?
Doctorate? Oh, brilliant. That's very good. Look, this is crazy. Let's get back to this film.
I'm just glad that he's doing well.
So, day 5. Now, she is not aware of what's happening here, but day 5, the calendar, because she's not home yet, the calendar opens on its own, and a little toy car.
See, that's the worst thing. The fact that we have a little head pop up and say, oh, I'm going to tell you when you can eat your sweet every night. Now, I'm just going to open the doors myself. Like, oh, it's just getting worse.
And a little toy car pops out and rolls.
What would be good?
Rolls along.
A demon actually coming out of like her fingers coming out of a hole. I was like, that'd have been good.
Yeah, but I like the less is more thing until later, of course. That was a good reveal. Oh, we'll get to that. So yeah, the toy car pops out, and back onto the road, we see he's just pulled over having a wank.
Oh yeah. Yeah, before we get to that, this is Matey, who's tried to force...
He's so turned on by this lady's disability.
He's pretty horny and coked up, I think.
And he's tried to rape her as well. So he's like, well, I might as well have a wank now.
Well, I couldn't go ahead with my raping, so I will publicly masturbate.
Yep. So he's wanking in his car. Little does he know that his car is almost like a voodoo doll, because his car is also a toy car, but it's just popped out of this advent calendar.
And this is when the dog turns up.
And the dog's like, oh, I'm going to eat that.
I love the fact the dog... So basically, the dog puts a car in its mouth and starts crunching around. And in real like live way of this guy's in his car, he's there just jerking away. He might be just about to spaff, and that car is crunched.
He's crunching around.
And basically, he's like in a huge dog's mouth being crunched up. Exactly the same. It's a voodoo doll.
It's amazing. It's so... And again, that sounds pretty whack, but... because it's done in such a great way.
It's pretty good.
It's so well produced. It's like, I'll go with this weird plot.
Mm. This film, I'm not going to be regularly watching it, but I will watch this film again.
I will definitely go and watch this film again, because...
I might give it a couple of years.
I feel like I probably missed lots, because this was my first time, and I think it's a really good film. I
have a terrible memory. The time I watch it again, I won't remember anyway.
Oh, that's fine then.
Even though we've talked about it for an hour.
So what happens next?
Next day, though, her friend pops around and says, "Hey, how you doing? Oh, by the way," she doesn't seem cut up about this at all, though. The guys we were out with last night, one of them's dead. Anyway, what are you up to today? She just doesn't seem a bit fazed by that.
She says, "Did Boris drive you home?" He says, "Well, yeah."
Oh, he's dead. And
then she says, "I've had a text from him, actually."
Oh, the text came, and she's like, "Isn't that a bit creepy? I get a text after he died."
And she said, "Oh, he might have."
No. Sometimes it just happens to late text.
It.
But her friend, and they're not that completely phased by it. It's like, hang on, the dude you were out with last night is now dead. That would kind of myself. I'd be like, oh, it's a bit fucking weird.
So, side story for this Boris guy, because he definitely was a cokey wheeler dealer. He is an online trader using apps, and while he's like loading her wheelchair in before he tries to orally rape her, he is telling her, "Yeah, I made loads of money on these apps. Look, I've just made €457. Yeah. I'll give it to you." She's like, "I don't want it." And he's like, "Go on, I'll let you have it."
Yeah.
So this text message he sent her, which she opens later on, is a link to this website, and she's been given this €457. And she thinks, "Oh, that's weird. I don't really know what to do with that." And
she kind of ignores it a bit, really, doesn't
she
it?
does.
It's her friend that kind of clicks it and says, "Oh, you got some money?" And she goes, "Yeah, whatever."
She also finds in the dog bowl the broken, crushed-up car toy.
A bit of it.
And she thinks, "What? This is all a bit strange." Day 6.
It's only day 6 now.
I know. Day 6. It's a heart-shaped sweet in this one. Now, there's a guy that she's been noticing at the park. Lovely, good-looking guy. Sings. He's always singing with his headphones on. She always says him. And she thinks, maybe there is something going on with this calendar, because I just found the crushed-up car. So maybe if I give this guy this heart-shaped chocolate, then something will happen. So she orders a couple of mulled wines, or one mulled wine, which is what I'm drinking, actually, funny enough. Hopefully there's nothing in my drink. And she drops, when he's not looking, she drops the heart-shaped sweet into his mulled wine.
I might have put one of those in your mulled wine. So you have little fluttery eyes for me.
He instantly looks up at her, comes over. "Can I sit here? Can I talk to you?"
So she's a bit like, okay.
But the funny thing is, she said to her friend just before, "Oh, what do you think is going to happen?" He's going to walk over to me and say, "Oh, by the way, I'm a nurse, so if it helps, I can wash your private parts for you." And he says exactly those words.
He just comes over, but he says vagina. I'm pretty sure he said vagina.
No, he says private parts.
Are you sure?
Yeah. My subtitle said private parts, but
I'm sure it's more than that.
He then realises what he said and says to her, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. No idea why I said that to you. I'm really sorry. Can we start again?" She realises she's got some kind of power over him.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Because he does work for the hospital, and he could wash her private parts if she wanted him to.
He yeah.
if you're into that, or if you need that.
I guess.
But yeah, so they have a chat, and they chat, and it gets dark.
Yeah, that's that sort of thing. Yeah.
He drives her home.
But yeah, she goes to bed and she wakes up all like, oh, that's nice and refreshed. Had a little bit of a nap. No, you didn't. You had a nap for like 4 days. Yeah,
because she takes the next chocolate, and doesn't remember.
Yeah, and guess what? She's fired.
Yeah, because she doesn't know. So day 7 chocolate is in the shape of a clock. So she doesn't know whether she stayed awake for 3 days or whether she slept for 3 days, but she looks like shit. She turns up at work 3 days, obviously missing. She doesn't know what's going on. And basically, that's quite a clever way of the director and of the writers speeding through a few of the days. Because otherwise, we'd be doing every single day. Well, we jump ahead now to day 10 in a minute, or day 9 or something. Because she's lost 3 or 4 days. And she gets fired, so her life has gone even further down the shitter. She calls William, who's the guy that she met in the park. She explains the calendar to him. She says, like, each door so far, something strange has happened. And while she's telling him this, she realizes the wrappers, the sweet wrappers, on the back of them, if you put them together like a puzzle, like a jigsaw, you get a logo, and this logo was something she saw on the trader's website.
It's like National Treasure or something, isn't it?
It is. So she puts all her money on that, and money starts coming in.
Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
But we'll come back to that in a minute. Day 11. So we skipped 4 days because she took that bloody chocolate in the shape of a clock. Oh, dear. We've all been there.
Yeah, clock, Dan. It was chocolate clock.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. She doesn't want to deal with day 11, so she goes to bed and she puts a really heavy book on top of the calendar so the puppet can't pop out and say, it's midnight, time to eat your chocolate.
Yep.
But because it can't do that, it's very clever, this calendar, so it pops a little bone out of the door, a little candy bone, and the dog comes over and eats that and runs off, and we find out what the dog has eaten, don't we?
Yes.
Because her dog is covered in blood.
Yeah.
But it's not the dog's blood.
No, and he does have a necklace in his fur, which was
the necklace
her boss wore.
So he got his comeuppance because her dog went off and ate his throat or something.
And she's realising this.
She's thinking, so anyone that wrongs me is getting something happen. So I've got to stick to these rules, but how extreme is this going to get? I've got a guy who seems to like me now. Mm-hmm. My boss fired me, but now he's dead. Like, is that? How do I feel about that?
But when that whole thought of hers probably comes in, like, oh wow, I could possibly walk. She knows that that's going to actually happen. Which is the problem is that, though, is what do you have to do to make this happen?
Because she remembers one of the earliest doors had that quote from the Bible that said Jesus made the cripples stand and walk. Mm. So she's thinking, okay.
That's the problem, isn't
What's
it?
the price here that I'm going to pay?
Yeah,
and do I go along with it?
It's kind of the Hellraiser type sort of thing. I want pleasure, and what do I do to get that or whatever?
So my next note here says Charlie diagram. And by that, I mean Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That very famous picture of him with all the trying to figure out where the mail goes. She's got that going on with Post-it notes because she's trying to figure out all the doors, what happened on that door. Right, this day, my dad rang me that day, and then the car. Okay, she's trying to figure out the rules almost of the calendar. What's going on. Doesn't question like the supernatural elements behind it, just the rules. So she eats the chocolate from a few days ago, which was the one in the shape of Jesus, and she has a seizure.
Well, her legs start to shake at one point, don't they?
Yeah, they're shaking, and it's all going a bit trippy,
and she wakes up in hospital.
She does.
She was found in the street clinging to said calendar.
William said, well, we brought it with us. It's in the room right there, look.
Great.
Thanks for that, William. Yeah, God, I hope you're okay. How did you get outside?
She realises she was able to walk. Dun, dun, dun.
She flashbacks briefly to it. It's very great camera work, good use of lighting to sort of show the trippy demonic elements. It's great.
She kind of wakes up to the camera panning up from the ground with the curtain across. There's some feet shuffling along. Whose feet are these? Pan up, and it's the other patient with her box. With her
Hello. Patient's got a box out. Hello. Yeah, this patient in the room is a lady who looks very unwell, mentally more than physically. And that comes to light when she gives her the calendar, and she basically says, she almost like she knows what it is. She's like, you must open it. So she opens it, and inside is a suite with a skull on it, I think, basically symbolising death. And she says, you must put me out of my misery, deliver me from evil. I don't want to live anymore, essentially. And she gives the candy to the patient, and I'm guessing that lady died. So now the calendar is like, it's giving her powers, because with these weird sweets, you know, her dog killed her boss by eating a sweet. She's given a sweet to this woman who's going to die because she's dying of cancer, maybe, who knows what it is, but she gives her the sweet and she dies.
But there's one other person that she thinks she can probably give that sweet to.
There is.
Her farter.
Because she thinks, I don't really know if I want him to live with the Alzheimer's. Well, she goes home and checks the app. She's now got 14,000 euros come in, so she is making money in this from this trader app thing. Maybe I should invest in this.
I was thinking that.
Is it real?
When I was watching it. No, because funny enough, I was out with someone recently, and they said that they were doing a bit, and they said it was so stressful. They would go to bed at night time, and they're just stressing over it, and what they should have done and what they shouldn't have done each day. And I was like, oh, really? And they went, they'd hardly made anything. It was just so stressful. I was like, oh.
Because I could really do with 14,000 euros, but
I don't think it comes that easy, though, because otherwise everybody would do it.
That's true. Well, day 14, funny enough, 14,000 euros, day 14, and number 14 on the door, her parents, she goes to visit them. Well, actually, it's her dad and her stepmom.
It takes a long time to get a really good portfolio as well.
Fair enough. Unless you're Eva with a special calendar.
I guess.
I don't want this calendar.
I don't want the calendar.
So she goes to visit them, her dad and her stepmom. Her stepmom's literally like your typical wicked stepmother. She's only in it for the money. She can't wait for her husband to die so that she can have his money. That's that. She gives him his after 8 mint, because there was another one for that day.
Fucking after 8s.
And he eats it, and suddenly he's compos mentis. He can talk to her.
Papa's got a brand new bag.
He has indeed. Papa's got an after 8 mint, and he gives her a hug and a cuddle, and they talk, and it's the first time in years that he sort of knows who she is. And he says to her, I want you to kill me. And she's like, no, Dad. And he says, listen, to walk, you must kill me. So he's laid it on the line there.
It's so creepy.
If you want to walk, you got to kill your dad.
Fuck. I know. Obviously, you're not going to do it. You're not going to kill your father.
No. Well, she leaves. Day 15. She tells William, look, I walked. I've got another sweet in the shape of Jesus. I want you to watch me. I'm going to eat this.
I like the fact that admittedly, he's more of a sort of Porter type character. But he is in the medical profession regardless. So it's quite. I like the fact. You know, it's me when the police turn up. It's that safety blanket in movies. I'm like, oh, good. I know they're going to get killed, but at least they're here for a moment. I like this is the bit where it's like Poltergeist, and when they get more professionals involved and stuff. I like having it. So this bit here is a medical profession going, you could walk, but you're in a wheelchair. So it's like fascinating for him to go, okay, and watch it.
And he says to her, he says, eat the sweet, I'll watch you. And obviously he knows first aid. They're in a hospital. So he says, eat the sweet and we see what happens. So she eats the sweet and she has another seizure, another fit. And then he grabs her on the floor and she says, oh my God, are you all right? She says, oh my God, I can feel you. I can feel you. And he says, yeah, and they kiss, and then presumably they have a bonk, because we don't see them shag, But the next scene, they're both smiling their faces off. So I'm assuming they had a quick shag before her.
But she can't feel.
But she could feel.
Because she could this time. Of course she could. So I
said,
remember watching it and then going, "Oh my god, she hasn't had an orgasm."
I can feel you.
She's not had an O face in ages.
No, but she says to him, "I can feel you," and his hand's on her leg, and that they hold on his hand on her thigh for a little bit longer. Then they kiss, and then they cut to her
Barry
just
White time.
smiling. She's got the biggest smile ever on her face.
Barry White and bumming.
There we go. She finds her keys. He finds her keys.
That's the name of my new album.
And he thinks, "Oh, I better drop these to her." What, Barry White's?
Barry White and bumming.
The ultimate winter collection, Barry.
Round the fire.
Gav and Michael Bublé.
Covering it.
She's back to the swimming pool. And the guy who's a dick to her at the very opening scene, he's there. This time he comes up to her and he's nice to her. He says, "Oh, look, sorry about the last time I met you. Look, I'll tell you what you do. When you finish your swim, if I'm around, give me a shout and I'll get your chair over for you and just help you with it." So he's actually been nice to her now.
I like the fact that he's actually... You know, we not know about this because it's only because we talk about it now, but when they wrote it and stuff, he's gone back and he's thought about his actions, thought about him as a person, and thought, I'm not going to judge a book by its character, book by its cover, and, you know, and I like that. And that's how people should be, it's fine to be wrong sometimes.
And what's interesting as well, what this film does, which I found really great, is that every character in this comes back and has more involvement in the plot, because even later on, even Miriam, the woman that they brought in to replace Eva in the job, she'll come back in a minute as well. So everybody comes back and plays a part, quite a bloody part from everybody involved really in this. So this guy's come back now and he's going to help her.
I've missed a piece here, so I'm at a bit where in my notes where the boyfriend's gone back to that house.
That's right. So we're just getting to that bit now.
Okay. So
she's at the swimming pool getting chatted up by this. Well, not chatted up, but chatted to this guy.
Chatted to, yes.
Meanwhile, William goes to her house to drop her keys off, and turns around, and there's a very spooky moment where he shuts the door, turns around, goes to get in the car, he looks back and the door's open again, and he thinks, that's strange, I've just shut the door. So he shuts it again, turns around, looks back, door's open even wider, and he thinks, this is a bit strange, why is the door opening on its own? So he goes into her, and this is where he finds her Charlie plan. So she's got this crazy board on the wall with post-it notes, and he's thinking, okay, she is obsessed with this calendar. It's pretty weird. And the phone rings, and it's his voice. He hears his voice, and he sees something being scratched onto a little part of the calendar. It doesn't make any sense.
I love how this comes back later, because you just reminded me now, because I remember watching it and being like, oh, that's so cool.
I was like, I smiled at the reveal of what that was. So this thing being scratched on the calendar, guys, remember that, because he doesn't know what it is, but there's like a little
it kind of looks like writing backwards being scratched on the little window of the door on the calendar. It's so small, but it's being scratched onto it, and he's like looking at it going, what the fuck?
So he's heard his voice, he's seen something being scratched. He grabs it, he runs out, he drives, and he throws the calendar in the river. Big mistake. We
get like basically Jason Voorhees as a kid in the water, but he's grown up. Obviously that'd be Jason anyway, without the mask and that. It's kind of this weird kind of Jason character comes out the water.
Yeah, so this is the
I thought this was a little bit too, after what we've had the whole time, what you've liked from it, I thought this was a little bit too much straight away, possibly.
I quite liked this because this shows you what you're fucking with.
Yeah.
This thing comes out of the water. Yes, it's a bit like Jason Voorhees, but it's a demon. There's purple smoke, so it's more supernatural than that. And it grabs him out of the car, drags him off, and it drowns him in the river.
Yeah, boom, he's dead. He's brown bread.
And she wakes up the next day in the river. She's like, well, how did I get in here?
Yeah, it's day 16. Yeah, she wakes up.
And she climbs out of the river, and the creature comes up to her and says, "Well, here's your calendar back. You better carry on following the rules, my lady.
Here's your advent calendar, your pint of milk, and your newspaper.
Otherwise, you're going to be in serious trouble if you don't follow these rules." So she wakes up back at home in her swimsuit with the man from the swimming pool banging on the door saying, "Look, I don't know how you got home. I looked around and you just vanished, and your wheelchair was still there. All your stuff was still there. What's going on?"
He must be like, how the fuck did you get home?
Yeah, she just teleported. Literally, she did teleport home.
Yeah.
Sister, you vanished. Day 17, Gav.
Getting closer.
She eats the candy, the phone rings, and this is where she finds out. She hears William's voice on the phone. Well, that's the voice he heard. And she's almost in a reverse universe now because she sees in the bathroom, she can see through the mirror William coming into her house the day before, wandering around the house, picking up the phone. Then she tries to scratch on the mirror, "Get out." It's run or something on the mirror. And that's what he saw being scratched on the mirror.
Yeah.
From the other side, because she's in a different dimension.
Mind blown. It was really good.
Really clever. And again, if it wasn't done right, it would be really wank, but...
Its movie's done really well. This movie could have been really shit. It's done pretty well.
Yeah, I credit to the director, the writer, and the actors.
It's just well
and
produced.
actresses.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. So yeah, there we go. Day 18, Gav, gets worse than it. A knife. No sweet on this day. A knife pops up.
Brilliant.
And there's a picture of a dog on the knife.
Buddy comes round. "Hello, how you doing? Fancy going for a walk?" "Oh, you've stabbed your dog to death."
Yeah, there's blood all over the flat, all the way up to the bathroom, and you're there with your dog. Now, my note here says Sophie is a fucking good friend because...
My note is not... It doesn't say this, but mine is Sophie's a twat still because she's still got the boyfriend. She's still having a great old relationship with the guy that her friend liked.
But she's a good friend because she doesn't question why her friend slit her dog's throat. She just wraps it up in a blanket and gets her boyfriend to help her dispose of the body.
The one she stole. Yeah,
the one she stole.
Yeah. I'm not getting over that.
But before she kills the dog, by the way, we should notice that the demon interacted with her again because she looked at the knife and she didn't want to do it, and the demon grabbed the knife and put it to her throat. But you didn't see him, you just saw the hand, as if to say, if you don't kill the dog, it's you or the dog. So you are going to have to kill your dog. Mm. So anyway, she's killed her dog now. So everybody's getting it, even the dog. Now, Sophie's boyfriend, the one that she stole, he is quite rich and he does some hunting. He's got a big lodge out in the woods, a big forest. Great setting for a horror film. So they take the dog to bury it, or they actually incinerate the body of the dog, and they take Eva there to get some rest. And day 19, and it's a little blue pill, Gav, little blue pill that some people might refer to as a Viagra. Now, I never get that in my advent calendar, but
no.
She doesn't want to take it.
Have you ever had a Viagra?
No, I don't think I have, actually.
No, I haven't. I just wondered.
My driving instructor tried to sell me some Viagra when I was about 19, 20.
I cleaned someone's carpets once upon a time, a flat in London, and they tried to pay me a Viagra.
Interesting, isn't it?
Really weird. I was like, nah. And
he said to me,
I've got a good supply. If you want to buy them in the future, have some. He gave me some Viagra. And I was like, man, I don't need Viagra.
That's what this guy said to me. He was like Sid James, but a driving instructor, and he said to me, "You got yourself a girlfriend, have you, Dan?" And I went, yeah. And I was like 19 or 20 at the time, so literally didn't need Viagra.
Your cock was probably hard there.
And he said to me, "I tell you what, if you want a really good night with your missus, take one of these. Do you want it?" And I said, "No, thanks." He said, "Oh, go on, take that one. And if you like it and it does the job, I've got tons of them. I'm selling them to my pupils." And he basically was a
Viagra supplier.
The driving instructor that sold his pupils Viagra. I didn't have any from him. I kind of wish I had tried it now.
The only thing I know of it is when Ozzy did it on the Osbournes, and he's trying to go to sleep. "Sharon, I can't fucking sleep because I got a fucking hard on. Fuck's sake."
Brilliant. I'd like to see what that does. I mean, I know what it does.
It gives you a stiff. It'd be annoying though if you want to go to bed, you can't roll over.
just balancing on
like
it.
like a bike on its side.
Anyway, Sophie steals this Viagra because she's not only stolen the boyfriend, she's now stolen her Viagra. And
fucking dick.
They drive off to this lodge in the woods, and she dreams and dreams, and she realizes in her dream, we realize as an audience, that actually the reason she's in a wheelchair is because of Sophie. Because Sophie picked her up from a ballet class. So Eva was a ballerina, and they were distracted, and Sophie was driving, and the car got smashed, and it's kind of Sophie's fault for not being a very good driver or taking her eyes off the road. She's never really blamed her for it. They've stayed friends, but it is kind of Sophie's fault. And she's a dick. She's stolen her boyfriend. She's stolen her legs. She's stolen her Viagra. The three things a woman wants in life is a boyfriend, her legs, and Viagra, and she's got none of them because of Sophie.
Yeah.
And in fact, she's given her fucking haunted calendar with a demon in it that's made her kill her dog. What a shit friend.
And you're going to have to kill your father too.
By the way, let Boris drive you home. He's going to try and finger you.
Brilliant.
Christ. So there we go. Viagra. Day 20. Yeah, we realised it was Sophie's fault. There's some hunting. Now, I thought someone was going to get killed by the hunting. But that isn't quite the case here. And Sophie takes her boyfriend to bed. And he says, I don't really want to have sex because Eva's in the next room. And she's like, don't worry about that.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, have some Viagra.
And he's like, oh, all right then.
That's it. I don't really want to do it because really I thought I was going to get with her, but now we're just next door having sex very loudly. I've written here, super erection. I don't remember. Do you see something?
You don't see it, but you do hear him basically fucking her to death. It sounds like he's about to come through the walls. It sounds like an earthquake is going on.
You'd have to have a super erection. Oh, no, you probably would for that.
Well, this haunted... If a haunted calendar is giving you Viagra, there's going to be something demonic in that penis, isn't there?
Demon Willie.
And she comes flying through the door, naked. She just smashes into the room. She's a mess.
She ain't good.
Yeah, and he's there, like, a bit like the guy in
Serbian film.
There we go. And it's like, okay, wow, this guy is...
he is horny.
He is pretty horny, yeah. She finds a hidden compartment in the calendar with a German address. She thinks, I need to go to this address and find out what's going on. But this is where she's interrupted by the... Go on.
But when she comes out, that's when the beast comes out as well, though, isn't it?
Yes.
And then it all goes a bit bad there.
Because the beast kills him.
Yeah, and it's all very bloody and full on there. And it's a bit like, whoa, nudity and blood and death and...
The beast basically says to her, but it doesn't say, but it implies, that's probably your last chance. If somebody else eats one of the chocolates and not you, I can't keep giving you chances. You've already broken a couple of the rules along the way. I'm not going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
So she goes to visit the person that painted this picture, and it's a blind man, a painter who is blind, and he's been blind for a few years. Yeah,
he wasn't born blind. He was an artist painting, then became blind, but can still obviously read his paintings and his brush strokes, etc. from touch.
And he says to her, well, this is my work from touch, but describe the painting to me. She said, well, it's you massacring your wife and kids, your family.
He doesn't want to actually say to her, yeah, this was me, but we know that is probably his picture. But he's his wife and kid are there. It's like, what? I would never do that. Yeah. But we probably know it is.
And they walk in, and basically it's a message to the next owner of the calendar.
Yeah.
Like so like you almost have to pass a message on to the next owner of the calendar as well.
Day 22, and the girl who stole her job, who's quite a looked in the mirror quite a lot, liked her appearance quite a lot. She's now becoming bald.
Yeah, so Miriam, So day 22, a little doll pops out of the calendar, and she knows exactly who this is. Eva knows this is Miriam.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start ripping the hair out of it. She's in the bath, her hair starts falling out.
Yeah.
Then she starts snapping legs and arms, doesn't she?
You think she's just going to do that, pulling hair out, and think
No.
because obviously she would hate it, and it would be horrible. She would hate this, and it would be an ongoing horrible thing for her. But no, she has to go. Oh fuck it, might as well just snap some limbs.
Well, what she does actually, one of the most painful things she does is start ripping her toenails off, and then in the bath her toenails start falling off. Oh, yeah. And then she snaps her arms and legs, and she basically just crushes the doll. And then obviously Miriam is going to be crushed in the bath into pieces as well.
That's all right. The box is going to open again, though. What is it this time, Dan?
Day 23, she checks into a hotel. It's another After 8 mint.
Oh, finds a gun.
Oh, a gun and an After 8 mint. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's not a murder mystery dinner party, but yes, it is an After 8 men and a gun.
Imagine going to a Vincent Price party on Haunted Hill, and he's like, okay, well, here, you've all got a gun each in these heart-shaped, these coffin-shaped boxes
and an After 8.
with an After 8 mint.
What's going to kill me first? It's the After 8.
So she goes to visit her parents, her mum and stepmum, and her stepmum burns the calendar by throwing it on the fire. But
because her mum knows?
I don't know. It's strange why she does that, but I think because she hates Eva. I got the impression it was just because she hates Eva, so she thinks I'm going to burn your calendar on the fire. But then the demon comes in and shoves her into the fire, and her head just burns off.
Yeah.
She goes up to her dad and says, "Here's your chocolate, Dad.
Papa, get a brand new bag.
And I'm just going to shoot you now, okay?"
Okay, no bag for you.
And she does this great bit where she
Except the body bag.
She keeps lifting up the gun. I think it's in Reservoir Dogs where somebody's trying to shoot the gun, and they keep lifting it. And
it's Tim Roth on the end when he's lying on the floor.
And it's a bit like that, but you don't know she's going to go through with it.
No.
But then we cut to an outside shot of the house, and that's it. Always, it's cliche, but it works so well.
I like doing the little sound effects in our
that was a good sound effect.
In our show.
Yeah, so she shoots him. So the swimming pool guy turns up at the hotel.
Day 23.
She says to him, "Well, we might as well fuck because I've only got about 5 hours until I can't feel anything from the waist down because I've taken one of my
good girl
Jesus chocolates from the calendar."
I'd be the same. I'd be like, ruin that shit.
So let's have a quick shag, and then I'm going to be paraplegic again. And he's like, he's literally been phoned up, said, "Come to meet me at a hotel. I'm the lady from the swimming pool. By the way, I can walk now because of a magical haunted calendar, but I'm not going to be able to walk again in about 3 or 4 hours. So quickly, we need to have sex. By the way, I've killed my dad, my dog, a bunch of people at work, loads of people that have fucking wronged me, and it's most likely you're going to die because everyone who gets near me is dead."
The prince had an easier time when Cinderella said at midnight, "Fucking that shit's turning into a pumpkin out there. No, I'm getting home."
It's pretty full on. She goes up onto the roof in a tutu. Ballet tutu.
You ever worn a tutu? Remember when Cheech wore a tutu? He'd be on stage sometimes.
I think I have worn a tutu. I think I was at a party about 10 or 11 years ago. In fact, it was the party Alice and I really first sort of kissed at. And I remember the guy that hosted the party, it's about 1 a.m, and he went, "Well, it's time to bring out the fancy dress box." And I thought, what
sort of party am I at?
But then it was just like wigs, sunglasses, tutus, silly things.
Phew, one gimp costumes.
I was in the corner completely naked, like, yeah, what? Oh. You actually meant a fancy dress. Sorry. So yeah, I have worn a tutu then.
You in your pigs in blanket suit.
Don't talk about my pigs and blankets like that. So she's dancing on the rooftop with the calendar.
Love the fact that she records, which goes back to the beginning of the whole movie. She's recording a message. The thing is, as I say, how long is that phone battery going to last? How are they going to open it? How are they going to know what message? It's just going to already be there. Anyway, taking all that shit away from it, she records a message for the next person as the advent calendar to say, "Yo, bitch, get the fuck out of here. Don't do this shit," basically.
She says, if you're going to do this, you've got to follow the rules, or you'll die. She dances, and she opens number 24, and the guy runs out on the roof.
He's
and
pretty
says
clever, because she said to this guy, "Look, I'm going to do then. At that point, then I've got to eat this last chocolate." Da, da, da. He runs up, realising. What does he realise, Dan?
He says to her. She says, "I can either eat it and go back to when I couldn't walk, or I don't eat it and everyone I know is dead, but I can walk. What a choice!" I can't remember what because he manages to get around the rule by saying about the chocolates, doesn't he? He says to...
Well, go on, you carry on.
No, go on.
Well, I'm going to say, like, this is the options. Obviously, her father is dead. That's pretty fucking full on. And I suppose her mum is. But then we've got her mate who is a twat to her. Then we've got the bloke, anyway. Then we've got, like, the guy who forced into sexual thing. Like, the boss, who wasn't very nice. But mum and dad, dog, I suppose, parents and dog, family. Yeah, I guess you're going to want to go back, really. You can't keep that.
I can't remember what the rule is, but basically, because the first rule said, if you eat one, you have to eat them all.
But yeah.
And she says, well, if I eat them all, then that's it. Then I
it reverses back.
That's right.
Yeah, it reverses back again to how it was. Or don't eat that one, and he's saying, and you'll stay walking. But like you say, all your friends, family, and the other people are dead.
Well, it's left a bit ambiguous anyway, because the screen cuts to black.
Open-ended, yeah.
And then,
and
1 year later...
Yeah.
I don't really get this. And I don't really feel we needed this scene.
Well, he throws the box over, doesn't he, at the top there, so making me think, oh, it's probably smashed. But we know that box is coming back.
Yeah.
You know.
And 1 year later, we find a random man that we don't know who he is with a baby. And he runs into a house. And he's got the calendar and the baby, and that's...
And
that's
it's all very hectic. No, but it's all very hectic when he runs in. The baby's screaming. He's like, "Oh, we got to do da." And he's trying to do something, or obviously something's been happening. So
it's halfway through December.
It's already going
already
again.
Done.
It's already and as we believe this every Christmas, as a tradition, this Advent calendar gets passed on to other people. And these events happen. So, interesting. I wouldn't want to see a sequel to this film, because you could do that every time, but that'd be too much.
Yeah.
But I like that open-end bit, and I think it's a really well-produced, dark film. It's not very fast. It can be a bit slow. It's subtitled. If you don't like subtitles, you might
struggle.
Possibly.
But upsides to it are, there's so many unique things. The main protagonist is a woman, and she's in a wheelchair, which you don't see very often. But also, it's a combination of lots of films that we love. We've already talked about that: Wishmaster, Hellraiser, The Ring, Seven, Jigsaw, all these movies. But it's done in such a classy, blasé European way that you just flow with it and you go with it, and you just think, well, at the gore when it comes, the effects are really good.
It's all very well produced. I think it was quite deep. There's a lot of deepness going on there with someone who can't walk, and just like the plight of not being able to walk and the chance of being able to do that again. It's very, very deep. So be really interesting to find out someone who can't walk what they think of this.
And similarly to, I agree, and similarly to Inside, which I mentioned earlier, what makes those two films unique and working well together is, aside from it being a woman as the main character, they're very vulnerable, because in Inside she's very heavily pregnant, so you feel as a viewer very protective of her, and the same here, and probably shouldn't do, but with Eva, she's in a wheelchair, so you do feel a bit more protective of her because she's a bit more vulnerable.
I didn't. I find her such a strong character.
She's a badass. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, totally. I didn't.
But she's great. I think she's a really beautiful actress as well. And it's just an all-round great film. And one that, like well-made movie. We just pulled this out the bag, really, because we normally plan our Christmas episode, but a few things moved around. And
we did look at some other bits and bobs, checked out some trailers for some films, but this is probably the better of the... because there's a lot of horror movies that we could do, but they're all going to be like your 4.4 out of 10 on IMDb, and you know that it's going to be like, blah, blah. We're not going to put the passion into it. We're not going to have a deep conversation. I'm glad we did with this.
Yeah, this has only got 6.3 on IMDb. I actually gave this an 8 out of 10 on IMDb. It's really a good film.
I'd give it a 6. But I definitely recommend this film, actually.
I recommend it.
But don't think it's all out there. It's a little bit of a slower. It's not tongue in cheek. It's a bit more serious. But if you want a story, you want to sit down and watch a good film story and an idea, and it's a great concept, and it hasn't really been done.
Well, that's what I was just about to say.
Guaranteed, I can pretty much put money on this. This will be remade by an American production company with English language.
And I was going to say, going back to something you just said,
almost guaranteed.
I think that's what I would say to sum this up. Really, is this is highly original in a lot of ways.
Really,
I've
really
never seen.
It's like Groundhog Day. That synopsis, that idea, but like the advent calendar each day and building up to something really good. Yeah, recommend.
There we go, guys. Big thumbs up from both of us for that one.
Oh God, this conversation for this next film.
But
You've got to stick with us. Stick with us, guys. Stick with us.
Bill's just poured me out another mulled wine. Hang on, Bill. Whoa, that's too much.
Bill, I didn't see you come in.
Yeah, he's been baking the mulled wine in the corner over here, look.
He's been baking sausage rolls.
Yep, mince pies. He's got his little Santa hat on today.
Cranberry sausage rolls, lovely.
Bill, we're not doing a Merry Christmas or whatever.
I don't drink anymore, no. Stop, no.
Put that down.
No, I told you not.
He's trying to pull my cracker.
Don't pull his cracker. He will make a mess all over the floor.
Oh, right. Hang on. Let me get this mulled wine off of him a second. It's very hot. Now, Bill, are you ready?
Water. I have water, Bill.
Put it down.
Jesus. All right, a Pepsi. I have a Pepsi Max, all right?
Right, Bill,
Cherry.
Please take us in. Take us into World of the Strange. Stop that. Ready?
Don't do that.
Come on.
Hi, welcome back to World of the Strange.
World of the Strange. Christmas Strange.
Christmas world of the Christmas
Strange. Thank you, Bill Murray, as always, for doing what you do.
Thank you, Bill, for the Pepsi Max. But this podcast on Hard Hills sponsored by Pepsi Max.
And mulled wine. This mulled wine has got so much sugar in it, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to sleep later. But that's Christmas. So, it's Christmas. This is our Word of the Strange segment. We're going to do something we've never done before, Gav.
Are we going to play a game?
We're not going to play a game.
Oh, I wanted like a live game on air, or a live mental puzzle trick which the audience could do at the same time.
Oh, I could look that up for next time.
Well, Elijah is like, Dad, do this thing. He's found this thing on YouTube. And he's like, go to your best podcast. And I was like, I don't know any of these. I'm fucking 46 in January, Elijah. I don't know. And I was like, I know Mr. Beast. He's all right. Mr. Beast. And did some sort of thing. And it said, count back 5 places. And that will be your favourite person. And it was. And I was like, how did they do that? It's very clever.
Very clever.
Yeah.
Well, what we're going to do today is, rather than talk about horrible, nasty, murder, sex and violence and terrible things, we are going to explore, keeping the theme, some true Christmas miracles.
I like a bit of kindness. Now,
that's what I thought.
The movie, I tell you what, my feelings of life are kindness. I've got to say, being kind to people is probably the most fulfillment you're going to get in life.
I love that.
Honestly, there's a reason why Christmas with the Cranks is an awful film. It made me cry towards the end. They give their neighbour some tickets for a holiday, and it made me cry because it was so nice, and it's really like come out of nowhere, and it's an awful movie. It's really cheesy and stuff, but it's the kindness. And any time in a movie, there's kindness. And music score goes up, and there's actually someone's being kind to someone else. I always go, do a little cry.
Which is why I always cry, and I'm not ashamed to admit this, and I cried last night when I watched it.
Watch what?
Muppets Christmas Carol.
I watched that the other day.
Michael Caine, right at the end.
Hello.
When they sing, as long wherever you find love, it feels like Christmas. That bit there, I just think that's true. Because Christmas is all about giving and love and just being nice and kind, like you said.
Absolutely. Hello, my name.
Merry Christmas, you fucking muppets.
Kermit, don't put your finger there.
Hi there. Oh, hey, it's Michael Caine.
No, Kermit, don't put your finger there. I'm
Kermit.
Michael bloody Caine.
Kermit, it's the man from the Shark movie.
Hello, Helen, get off your knickers.
Anyway, listen, Christmas miracles, true Christmas miracles. So this, hopefully, listeners, this will make your heart grow 3 sizes like the Grinch, if this is right. So these are true. So I've got a few little stories here. The first one is, I'll give you the headline for each of these, and then we'll just quickly talk about the story. Couple discovers an abandoned newborn baby in the middle of the desert. And I'm not talking about Bethlehem.
What the shit?
1931. Ed and Julia were driving home on Christmas Eve.
Wow.
When all of a sudden they got a flat tyre out of the blue in the middle of the desert. How strange.
But they were like, it's the fucking second coming.
Her husband got out to change the tyre. While he was doing so, Julia wandered off, just for a little walk around. Probably to take a pee.
I reckon it was a shit.
She went for a shit. It wouldn't be a very Christmassy story.
There's no way she's turned her fella, she's off for a shit, but I'll bet you anything it was a shit.
Especially in 1931.
It's definitely a shit.
Where are you going, honey? I'm going to powder my nose.
I'm going to the powder desert.
I'm going to shit.
There's no powder room, honey. There's a powder desert though, isn't there, out here?
Well, while she was shitting, she found an abandoned. She found an old hat box. She found a hat box behind a sand dune. She thought, what the hell? And inside this was an abandoned baby. A baby girl.
Alive? What the fuck? I even almost turned into Donald Duck then. What the fuck?
This all took place in Arizona. And yeah, someone abandoned this baby.
How long had it been there? What temperatures were we at?
It's about a day old. And when they found it, it was close to midnight on Christmas Eve. So this is a true Christmas miracle. They handed the baby over to the authorities, and the baby was sort of vetted and checked over by doctors. 17 couples applied to adopt this hatbox baby because everyone's heart went out to it.
So what year was this? 1933?
1931.
31. So this person now is in their 90s?
If they're still alive, yeah.
And if not, they might have had children. That's insane. Do we know anything more about this person?
Yeah, the couple that, sadly, no offence to anybody with this name, but the couple that adopted her called her Sharon. She ended up going to work within the aerospace industry.
Insane.
So she went on to have a great career within aerospace, and all because a woman went for a shit in the desert and found her in a box.
Well, never not shit in the desert.
On Christmas morning, like early hours of Christmas morning.
If you want to find a baby in a box, did this person find the real parents?
No, that's all I've got on it. Back in 31, there wouldn't have been any records.
Yeah, it's not a DNA thing, is it?
If someone would have just been like, shit, okay, I've had this baby, there was no abortion, there was no nothing back then, so it's just put it in a hat box, leave it in the desert.
Yeah. Fucking insane.
Merry Christmas to Sharon.
And how horrible the fact that it gets to a point where you have to leave a baby in the desert.
I know.
And it's just like, and yeah, I presume that, I know it's a controversial conversation in America, but I presume an abortion would have possibly taken place if the person's whole idea was going to be to just get rid of it.
There's places in Japan and I think China and other places I think in Europe where if you have a baby and you feel you can't look after it, you can literally go to this part of the hospital, anonymously put the baby into this drawer from the outside and close it. It goes into a special room which triggers an alarm. Nurses come flying down and they look after the baby, and there's something like you've got like 7 days to come back and change your mind
to claim it back.
Yeah, because obviously having a baby, your mental health is all over the place, you know. And that's great that they do that, because you know we've all heard of like the dumpster baby and all that awful stuff that people just they have a baby and they dump the baby.
The really bad one in Sunny in Philadelphia.
Remind me.
adopts the baby, and then they're like, "Great, we could probably make money out of this," and they're trying to take it. So we could paint him sort of black or whatever colour. Oh my god. Yeah, so, that's crazy. That's a Christmas crazy.
Sticking with babies, next one here. A woman dies during childbirth. So on Christmas Eve 2009, Tracy in Colorado Springs Hospital was trying to give birth to her first child, but she went into cardiac arrest and her heart stopped. So the doctors struggled. What do we do? We need to get this baby out of her. They managed to birth the baby. We're getting close to midnight now, close to Christmas morning. And sadly, the baby started dying as well. And they went to the husband and they said, "Your baby has got minutes. I'm really sorry. Your wife is dead.
Whoa,
your whole world is falling apart.
God.
We think did you want to hold your baby before everything?" And all of a sudden, minutes into Christmas Day, his wife's heart started beating again on its own, and then the baby's pulse started picking up, and within an hour or so the baby was fine.
I wonder if the baby knew, like the mum was all right. Do you know what I mean?
Everybody lived.
That's crazy.
Just into Christmas morning. Full recovery, no side effects.
My God, that guy, his emotions.
His wife had been dead for 5 minutes.
You just literally made me the most saddest person ever right now, and now I'm back up again.
I know, it's crazy. His wife was technically dead for 5 minutes.
Wow.
And imagine that, like Christmas morning, like you're not even thinking about the fact that it's Christmas Eve and all that's going on. But years to come, you would hate Christmas if you'd lost your wife and kid on Christmas Eve. But wow, insane, and that is a true Christmas miracle, really. That isn't it? That's just insane.
Mm.
They're talking. You can imagine the doctors at the hospital talking about that for years and years and years to come. Incredible. Oh, I feel a bit emotional after that one.
That's crazy.
Okay, well, here's another one. Man falls out of a window.
That's probably all that mulled wine.
I do feel emotional. A man falls out of a window. Here's the next story.
Happy Christmas.
He falls 47 stories into an alleyway below.
What, and he's all right?
It's actually two men. They were washing windows in New York. Alcide and Edgar. So they both fell, landed in an alleyway. Edgar died immediately.
I was about to say that Edgar's a lucky one, but he's just not.
He's not.
Okay.
Alcide somehow survived, was sat up when the paramedics arrived. The paramedics ran over to him. They said, "What's going on? How are you alive?" They put him in the back of the ambulance, and he slipped into a coma.
Oh, okay.
And while he was in the coma, he underwent 9 complex surgeries over the next 18 days. Whilst in a coma, he had his entire body full of blood replaced.
My God.
As you can imagine, falling out of a building is going to do some damage.
Yeah.
The doctors actually had a meeting. Are we wasting our time? Can we save this man? It's been 18 days. He's having an entire body blood transfusion. He's fallen 47 stories. Can we do this? Christmas morning, he wakes up, and he's absolutely fine. 18 days later, Christmas Day. Woke up from the coma.
Yeah.
Morning, everyone. What day is it? It's Christmas Day. Good morning to you, Alcide. Welcome back.
Wow. I've got a day off today, but then Monday I'm back up on all cleaning on the windows.
Doctors do not know how Alcide survived. No one can. They basically just think it's luck. It's like a 1 in a billion chance that he survived.
Yeah, it's like some of those videos you see on YouTube. You see like a car crash and just see like a person just fly out of the window, like fly like a ball and sort of roll in, but their car then just gets completely demolished. and they're just sort of sitting there looking. They stand up and walk off, and you're like, "What the shit?"
Yeah,
You know?
I've seen those ones. I've seen that one with the guy on the motorbike, and the car hits him, and he flies off the motorbike and lands on the roof of the car in front, like Spider-Man, obviously by complete accident. And he's just looking around like, "How the fuck did I get here?"
Well, that's good. Yeah, I feel really bad for that one. If you've ever seen the woman who's on the, no, she's on a motorbike. I think she's a motorbike or a cycle bike, and then it falls off, and then falls all the way down the road, then slips down a drain as well. Like, literally goes out, just sliding along the road and just falls down right properly into the drain and completely goes.
And then Pennywise is waiting for her.
Yeah, it's just like, wow, what was the chance?
Just to finish up with Alcide, he managed to learn to walk again. And a couple of years ago, he completed a 3-mile charity walk. Alcide, Christmas miracle.
This one's to you, Alcide.
I'll tell you what, I bet you he got some good compensation from his boss.
Yeah,
Have you had an accident at work? Yeah, I fell 500 feet.
Was that how long? How?
It was 500 feet.
500 feet?
47 stories.
Oh my god.
Onto concrete in an alleyway.
500 feet?
500 feet is what this story says, yeah.
Well, honestly, like, 30 feet you could go.
Yeah, well, 2 foot. You know.
Well, yeah. What, 500 feet?
That's why it's a Christmas miracle. Not for Edgar.
Oh, Edgar's not. No, 500 feet. There used to be a group I used to listen to called MC 500 Foot Jesus. Kind of feels Christmassy.
Well, let's talk about dogs, because you've got a dog, and you're a dog lover.
I do love my beans.
Gav loves his beans. Here we go then. A woman lost her dog. Looked high and low for it. She almost gave up on it. So it was April 2006 when her dog went missing.
Right.
Where the hell's my dog gone? Well, I'll tell you what happened. It was on Christmas Eve that year, so a long time later, 1,300 miles away from her dog was found.
How many miles?
1,300 miles away.
Motherfucker.
She pretty much thought my dog's dead 8 months later. What a shit Christmas without my dog.
Well, how did it get there? Did it walk?
Well, let's get to that. He travelled more than 1/3 the length of the continental United States.
It's totally like, so you don't know this, you probably don't know this, it's like Santa's little helper in The Simpsons when he decides to, look, Bart doesn't like him anymore and Homer doesn't like him, they shout, and he just decides to go off on one. It's exactly like that.
Well, it is, I know that bit actually. It also reminds me of The Littlest Hobo as well.
Yeah.
So he travelled 1/3 the length of the continental United States, meaning he crossed numerous state lines full of wild animals, deranged hill folk, drugged out meth heads.
This is exactly the episode of Simpsons.
No one knows how Daisy, this dog is called Daisy, managed to survive the journey. But you know, I'd just love to have seen this dog. Imagine if it had a GoPro strapped to it. Because they can't even figure out how it must have just jumped. They conclude it must have jumped on and off of trains, and just luck. Someone maybe picked it up and drove it.
Yeah, a homeless person's just gone like, "Sweet, you and my dog now." And then a few days later, the dog's like, "Fuck this." But the thing was that Beans once got off. He was with his mum, and she lost him out in the woods, and he ran home over some main busy roads, so it's very lucky he did. Only once happened, but he managed to run home. He actually kind of knew the way. This dog sense of direction was fucked. It went 1,000 miles the wrong way.
Yeah, 1,300 miles away, but turned up on Christmas night.
What? So did it just come back again?
No. They basically contacted her and said,
"Oh right,
you're the owner of this dog."
Imagine if it did the round trip before he got back. And fucking hell.
Where have you been?
That was exhausting.
I just wanted to have a look around America.
Is it tea time?
That was another Christmas miracle. Here's another one for you.
Mm-hmm.
A woman survives after being buried in snow for 3 days.
So one thing I've been watching recently is Ice Road Rescue, set in the Norwegian mountains. Did you like me Ice Road Truckers? But gone into this, found out Disney has got 6 seasons. I was so happy to find this out. I'm on season 2. I fucking love it. I love the geometry of picking the trucks up and how they get into it. I well like it.
You're so weird. I love you.
I really like it. So I'm with the people trapped in the snow and all this as well. I'm going with this. I understand it. I can feel it.
Well, Christmas 2008, Canada was having a massive snowstorm. Probably gets one every year, but a very bad one this year. And the weather conditions created a complex dilemma for Donna, who was a 55-year-old housewife. She wanted to bake cookies that day. But the only reason that she went outside was to collect some more supplies for her family to bake the cookies. But that was the last time she saw her family for 3 days. The police were notified. She's not. Donna's vanished. We haven't seen her for 24 hours. Okay. Interesting. Where did she go? She went to pick up some supplies to make cookies. She hasn't come back since. Okay. Well, let's do a police a search. A missing persons search. So people started searching for her. There was a raging snowstorm, so it's very difficult. Low visibility. The police were pretty sure she was dead, buried somewhere under a load of snow. But they were half right. Miraculously, because a dog called Ace.
Yeah. Sniffed her.
Eventually found her buried under 3 feet of snow in a field.
Just literally, not like an igloo type scenario. She's literally just compact, in the snow. She'd be dead. She'd be dead.
Her body temperature dropped to 86 degrees Fahrenheit, but because she had hypothermia, she had frostbite. But the reason she survived and the reason she woke up on Christmas Eve in the hospital, on the road to recovery with all her family by her bed, is because in the snow she'd managed to make a weird sort of
like an igloo. That's what I was saying.
And that had kept her warmer than just lying there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it will, if you've got a bit of heat in you, it would start to generate around and it would stay in there. That's what igloos do.
She says we're just taught this at school. We're just taught. That's what you do. So in Canada, in the UK, they teach you maths.
Fucking in the UK, you get 1 foot of snow, the whole world, the whole country is. That is it. We are not doing anything.
In Canada, it's like, okay, so here's what you do when there's a bear. Here's what you do when there's wolves. If you fall into 2-3 foot of snow,
they expect it's the same in Alaska and all sorts.
They learn to survive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she woke up on Christmas Eve, and she, managed to sell out time to do some Christmas shopping if she wanted.
Wow.
Online, I should imagine.
Probably. Amazing
stuff. We've got one more.
All right.
This one involves Santa Claus. Look at you. You perked up a bit when I said that.
Ho, ho, ho.
My children.
I'm coming down your chimney this evening.
I've ruined my story now.
Sorry, your children. Apologise.
They've got quite a lot of words now for their age, 18 months. Quite a good vocabulary, but they don't know they don't know what Father Christmas or Santa Claus is. They don't say that. However, they've obviously been taught at nursery something to do with it, because I was wearing a Christmas jumper the other day with Santa all over it, and both of them were just coming up to me and hugging me and pointing to him and going, ho, 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 ho. So they call Santa ho, 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 which I think is very cute. That's what
Snoop Dogg calls him too, probably.
Now you can go ahead and tell your dirty jokes.
No dirty jokes. It's Father Christmas could come down your chimney tonight, that's it.
Someone told me a terrible joke about Jimmy Savile the other day and Santa Claus, but I don't think I'm going to tell it, because I think we're a higher level. No.
Oh, tell me afterwards.
So the last one is about a letter to Santa. Okay. So a girl called Rosa, Christmas 2011, a lady called Rosa in Christmas 2011 came to the rescue of a young girl. So a young girl in California had written a letter to Santa Claus, and she wanted to post it to him, and tell him all the things she wants for Christmas. Please, my family are very poor. Can you help us? Unfortunately, she tied it to a balloon, and that balloon just went off somewhere. Don't know why she did this. She's a child. That's what kids do, I suppose. And this balloon was found thousands and thousands and thousands of miles away by this lady Rosa that I mentioned.
Is Rosa going to be a saviour?
She literally tracked down with all her contacts this little girl and her family, and on Christmas Day sent them everything they could ever want. Food, clothes. It was almost like, and so the little girl believed Santa was real because
wow, yeah,
she'd written that, tied it to a balloon.
Next year she's gonna be like, "What happened to you, you fucker?"
Next year she's gonna be like, "I want £1 million. I
want a Ferrari for my dad. My mum wants a whole makeup studio in her like face makeup,
and I want Justin Bieber to be my husband." Right, let's post that.
So what happened to you then? Hey, turns into like a revenge story about Father Christmas.
Can you imagine though finding that balloon and
that's good.
Being rich enough to be able to do that for them.
It's, I guess it's nice if you, it's really nice, I suppose, if you're a sort of person of that wealth. Do we have A-listers of that wealth? We might do. I don't know. But if you can sort of do something like that, it's good. It's a worthwhile thing.
I once had a moment where at one of my old jobs, I worked on the phones in a call centre, and towards the end of my shift, about 2 days before Christmas, the last call of my shift was a bloke. Hiya. I said, hiya. He said, look, bit of a weird request. I've got my kid in the other room.
Can you talk to me in a sort of voice?
He said, I got my kid in the other room. I'm pretending that I'm calling Santa. Can you just chat to them for a bit? That's
so cool. And he just randomly phoned you, or?
Well, it was a free number, you see.
So, okay, yeah.
So he just thought, and I picked up. So I said, all right, yeah, go on then. And I shouldn't really have done it, but my boss wasn't going to tell me off for this. So this kid comes on the line. He said, hello. So I went, hello. Because he told me his name.
I'm just picturing, yeah. Your colleague next to you's just hung up. Okay, thanks so much. And they just look round you, going, "Hello." What the fuck are you doing?
My colleagues were, because they were all waiting for me to go to the pub. So they were all like, "What's Dan doing?" And I went, "Hello, is that Stephen or whatever the kid's name is?" And he was like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, your daddy tells me you've been a very good boy this year." Yeah. He said, "What did you ask for?" And he sort of told me like a couple of things he wanted, and I said, "Well, if you're a good boy, you'll get what you've asked for. Just be a good boy for your mummy and daddy." Or okay. And he was pretty much speechless, barely spoke to me. And then the dad came back on and went, "Oh mate, thank you so much. You've made his Christmas. Have a great Christmas." And I said, "Well, thank you." And I felt so good about just life and everything. And I explained to my colleagues what had happened, and they were like, "Oh mate, that's brilliant. Oh mate." I went down the pub, I got drunk, I was like, "Oh, I feel like Santa Claus, yay." So there we go. I think that's why I like the film The Santa Claus with Tim Allen, because I feel like one day I could become Santa Claus.
That'd be cool.
It would be. But there we go.
Yeah, it's not real though, just so you know. To break that spoiler.
Talking of Santa Claus, Bill Murray would make a good Santa Claus, wouldn't you, Bill?
But I thought it was very, very commendable of you, by the way. No, Bill,
you.
I was still talking. Yes, the Pepsi Max, I had it. What? At what point, Dan? At what point did we say when Bill asked him to come, just to literally give us like a hello and welcome, like his little thing he does, and that was the end of it. And it's like, oh, cats next time, cats and dogs. At what point did he become the fucking dude at the bar?
I don't know. Well, since I had the bar installed.
But I don't understand why he became that person, because he's so pushy. He's like a drug pusher, but a drinks pusher.
He's been staying at my house for the last few days because it's Christmas.
Probably can't bloody get rid of him, can you?
No.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's your turn now. Okay.
There we go. Christmas miracles. World of the Strange. Bill, take us out of here.
Go and do your thing. All right. But that's that.
That's all the time we've got for this week on World of the Strange. Next week, though, gimme Ira. Hairless pets. Weird.
2004, rated 18, an hour and 28 minutes. Mark, a travelling entertainer, is on his way home for Christmas when his van breaks down in the middle of a jerkwater town with some strange inhabitants. It's also known as the Ordeal.
English language title, The Ordeal.
I wanted to, when we were trying to come up with a movie, I was like, all of a sudden I was just like, I remember this movie, and it's just like, yeah, this was set at Christmas. I always wanted to cover it. I only seen it once, and it really stuck with me as a proper horror story.
It's I'd forgotten it was a Christmas set film, because that doesn't come into it too much, but it is obviously at Christmas. There's Christmas trees in the background and stuff like that, and he's performing his gigs around Christmas. So I'd forgotten about that, but yes, same as you. I'd only seen this once, and I thought about this film for about 3 or 4 days after. It's one of those ones where you do sort of think about it afterwards, like, ooh. Yeah, it's I think you described it as, and I agree, as a cross between Deliverance and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, with a sprinkling of the League of Gentlemen, British comedy show,
with a European French tinge to it, where it's just very there's kind of like a thing where time stops in this movie. There's no particular place where you think it's a certain era or anything. It's just kind of that sort of place where you could probably go to where this was filmed now and the buildings still look the same. It has this timeless sort of quality to it, but it has a real horror story to it. I love that movie in Soon the Darkness, where it's two English ladies on bicycles in France, but they're in a different country and they don't know the language. Obviously everybody in this speaks the same language, but for myself as an English language speaking person who's naivete to other languages and learning them, like most British people, I don't understand it. But I don't know, it's something with this, because I don't understand it as well, it's something more, gives me more scaredness, there's more fear to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The whole journey that this guy goes on is so horrible, and the worst thing is that I've got a mate who looks a spitting image of him, and I was watching it, so I said, sorry, looks like, I won't say his name, doesn't it? He's like, yeah, and I was like, oh God,
I think he looks a lot like Johnny Lee Miller, I think.
I will send you a picture of my friend, and you go, oh my God, and I go, I know, it's a bit, it made it a bit even slightly more, well, horrible in some ways, I don't know, but yeah, tell me your thoughts on this, and your, you know.
So without spoiling it, because we'll go into the story properly in a minute. I do remember watching it a long time ago. It's 2004 now, and probably only a few years after it came out. I rented it back when you used to rent DVDs, and I'd been recommended it, and I watched it, and it's less. I mean, no, actually, no, it is. I was going to say it's less horror, but actually, it's still horror. It's horrific. There's certain elements in it that stand out, and these elements you would only get in a European film. Stuff with the animals, which we'll come to, stuff with the rape, and then the dance scene, and yes, this is all in the same film.
When we get to the dance scene, I am going to splice in that into the show.
Yeah.
So people can hear just the music.
What I didn't realise was they'd used some elements from the Psycho score as an influence, which is why some of the music, and particularly some bits from that, sound a bit like some of the Psycho score, which is one of my favourite films of all time. So I obviously, the first time I watched this, I wasn't even a podcaster, but now I am, and I review films. And,
I didn't even notice that. So
yeah, that was one of the bits of trivia I came across, but.
I didn't find that myself, I've got to admit, because I'm very, very keyed up with the Psycho score, and even like the Reanimator copycat almost. So I didn't notice that in it. But
yeah, well, let me see if I can find that bit of trivia for you. Here we go. The scene where Mark and Bartel talk over dinner.
Okay.
Oh, there's also a bit where the conversation they have over dinner is exactly the same as the conversation that Norman has with Marion Crane over the sandwiches in Psycho, and then the violin heard during some shots close to that.
Well, that's nice. I'm glad they sort of did that then.
Yeah, so
it wasn't rudely or stuck out or badly done. It was very subtle.
Low budget, I should imagine, but well produced. and doesn't need to be high polished. It's the grittier and dirtier the better with this sort of film.
It's a Straw Dogs as well.
Oh, it's Straw Dogs.
It'd be Straw Dogs, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Deliverance set in France.
Right, that is a film and a half, putting those three into one.
And if you've not seen this film and you don't mind those sorts of films, a little bit rougher on the edge, do check this film out, and possibly don't listen to us and then come back. After. It's a good film, and I wouldn't like to spoil it for you. What's going to happen?
However, we will spoil it, and we'll start reviewing it now.
No crazy twists or nothing, though, is it?
No, but it's also weirdly classed as and it is a comedy at times. It's
because it is. It is
comedy.
very funny at times. I love some bits in it. I laughed, chuckled, and laugh out loud. I chuckled. Basically, we've got Mark. Now, Mark thinks he thinks he's got the stuff to be a top performer in the world, and he's a bit of a singer, and he likes to sing love songs, sexy love songs, and he dresses all fancy like. And
wears a cape, Gav.
He wears a cape like a magician. Now, it's amazing because you cut to him and just singing away, and then we pull out, and it's just an old ladies, I think, just women, I think it is, people home, and a younger sort of nurse to the women, all just fanning over him, just like, oh my God, he's so sexy. And she's going up to them, you know, and they're just like, oh. It's hilarious. This bit is so funny, but we get the impression that he used to be, or perhaps almost became, quite big at one point, and then his career faded. Maybe he had something, and he's now at this position here, but he's still trying to get back to it, because he says after this gig he's going on to another place where there could be some top producers, a party.
You imagine that perhaps he appeared on something like The X Factor once, and he was famous for a year. Yeah. And then it went away. Now he's just going around old people's homes.
And they still remember him, and they're falling in love with him, because all he does is these love songs. I'll tell you later, Sarah at one point, it's like, he needs to stop singing those fucking love songs when he sings. Because it's like, when he's requested to sing by some people later in the movie, he shouldn't do love songs. He should be like let's sing about death or something.
I see you flirting with me. Do you want to come to bed with me?
Don't sing this
Don't sing that to that room full of men. Don't sing that.
Listeners, we're going to get there. If you've not seen this movie and you don't fancy it, we're going to lead you through it. We're going to hold your hand and take you through this film. And it's not downright gnarly. There's a couple of scenes that all of a sudden smack you in the face, though.
Yeah. Oink, oink.
Don't do pigs. All right, we'll get to it.
So it's Christmas time. He's in his cape, as you said. He's finished his gig. The old ladies are dribbling. Their teeth are falling out. They're so horny. One of them comes backstage.
Well, he's got his little room, and he's just sitting there taking his
makeup off. This lady puts her hand on his thigh. I've written here, she's an OA groupie. So you got your OAP, your old age pensioner. She's an OA groupie. Because she's a groupie.
I love it.
See that?
I do like very quickly going back to his music. I do love that sort of bossa nova, or whatever it is, that basic keyboard drum beat. Everybody
like
at some point,
on the keyboards.
Everybody at some point in their lives has had a Casio keyboard. Well, I guess not nowadays, but not the youth nowadays. But you out there know what I'm talking about. The Casio keyboard you got when you're on 9, because you said, I want to get a keyboard. Exactly. Yep. This is what he's singing over, and it's just like, it makes it so much more better, and the humour is so sneakily brilliant. It's it's almost it's kind of like a British humour, but
no, because this was only my second time, and it's been a long time since I've seen this. I couldn't remember if he was a piece of shit, and I couldn't remember if he actually got with some of these old ladies.
Okay.
Because they're easy targets for him. They want him. And when I say old, actually, some of them aren't that old.
Some of them aren't that old.
They're just about 20 years older than him.
The nurse in it isn't too bad. She's it's not bad at all. And he's really like, no. And it's a bit like, well, come on, man. But yes, anyway, he's in his little studio in his dressing room, and she comes in, and this older lady, she's the one that pays him. He comes back to that place every year. So she's like, oh, they all love you, they adore you, she's saying to him. And then she kind of just goes for potluck, and you can't blame a girl for trying.
She puts her hand on his hand on her thigh, doesn't she?
Yeah.
That's what she does.
And basically to say, would you make an older lady happy? I had a friend who actually had that done to him once. When he went round to his friend's house, his mum, one night came out and said to him, would you make an old lady happy? It's like, oh my God, he didn't do it. He was probably like 15.
Amazing.
That was just like, what the fuck? Anyway, she does this to him, and he's just straight away pulls his arm back, and she is totally and utterly embarrassed of herself. And she's like, I'll never ever live this down. How could I forgive him? I'm a slut. And you feel kind of sorry for her.
Yeah.
And I don't know what message you're getting in this movie with this, but it's something there a little bit. And in fact, it goes on to this other bit we go to. Basically, he goes into... I don't want to spoil it too much, but we can get to a place where he feels the position of a woman who's left.
Yeah.
And we don't know that story. And, yeah, it's really interesting. I think there's some deep stuff going on here, I reckon. Really, if you really look at it.
There is.
Oh, God, we'll get to that. Okay. So she's embarrassed, isn't she?
He says to one of the younger women, the nurse, well, I'm off now. I've got a trip to do in the down south. I've got to drive for a few days now. It's a Christmas show, so I'm off. And this is where we get a driving montage.
We find out, though, she gives him a few Polaroids.
Oh, she does. Some old booby pictures. He is, so for anybody who's familiar with the British office...
And very quickly, when she said goodbye to the nurse, she holds on to him, hugs him a little bit longer than she should, and he's like, oh, God. Yeah.
So for anyone familiar with the British office, you will know, obviously, David Brent, the character played by Ricky Gervais. David Brent is a wannabe singer... but he works in an office, and I get a bit of a David Brent vibe from this guy because he's got his van, and he's to everybody. He's like, I'm an amazing singer. I've got a cape, and women love me. But
he lives in this big van. It's like literally kitted out with everything, like an oven, stove. It's like his wardrobe. Yeah.
Polaroids of boobs. It's got everything in there. We get a driving montage. He goes through the fog. It's day. It's night. He gets a bit lost. He checks the map. So he's driving for days. He's days and days and days.
And this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is before GPS. This is before mobile phones.
Yeah, he's just got a map.
Yeah, and God, I don't know how we survived. Well, no, you never drove. I don't know how we survived though.
Yeah, but I used to go.
I suppose you'd be map person though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would have been driving to holiday.
Be like, okay, I think up here. My
dad
God.
would give me the great big map, and I'd have been like, right, take this left turn in here, and he'd be like,
I drove when I was so naive. I drove from Brighton to London back and forwards about 4 times before I figured out I need to get on the M25 to go home. It's fucking shit. It's so shit.
Well, he gets lost. And it's raining, and he swerves his car, and it kind of it just won't restart for some reason. So he's fucked up the engine. Maybe it's flooded, but basically his van doesn't start. And a man startles him, and this man is looking for his dog.
It's the classic. He's driving along. He's looking where he's going. It's pouring with rain. It's real slow. It's in the middle of the woods. It's all creepy and shit. And that dark shadow goes in front of the van. What was that? Slam on the brakes. And yeah, we find this weird dude.
This guy's sort of, I'm looking for my dog.
You know, it's basically the dude in Texas Chainsaw Massacre turning up.
Yeah, the guy that's...
who cuts himself.
Yeah. Oh, what does he say? I can't remember what he says now. That's something he says. But yeah, it's basically like him. This guy, so Mark says to him, look, I saw a sign for an inn back there somewhere. Can you please tell me how to get to it?
Because his engine's got, whatever reason, his engine's not working.
The rain gets heavier as this conversation's happening, and it's absolutely...
And see, this isn't one of... I like it. It's pouring with rain. Love it. Lost.
So this guy looking for his dog says, look, I'll walk you to the inn. Let's walk through the woods together. Okay. So you're going to walk through the woods on a dark night in the rain with this random man who seems a bit crazy. He's looking for his dog.
Straight away, I'm thinking, he doesn't have a mobile phone at this point in here. Now, this is what I'm doing nowadays, because after a couple of years ago, when I lost my car in London one night, which fucking drove me round the corner, around the bend, I was literally going to start crying at one point. From now on, though, I'm putting a little... I mean, if I don't know where I am, and I know I'm about to go wandering, I'll put a little pin on my phone where I am. I can go back to know where my car is. That's what I do nowadays. Or I take a photo of a road next to it, go there, so I don't lose myself, because I have lost myself before. And as soon as he's walking away with this guy, I'm just like, do you know where your van is? Do you know where you're going? How are you going to find your way back again? It's just like,
it's
oh
dark,
my God.
It's raining.
Yeah, like, how are you going to retrace your steps if this guy just runs off? And essentially he does.
Yeah, and when he gets to the inn, and when he gets there, the guy that he's with... The guy that he's with says, Mr. Bartel.
Yeah, I've brought someone to you.
Can you open the inn?
And the light comes on upstairs, the window opens, and the guy just looks out, just nods his head, and comes down, opens the door. And Mark's like, I'm really sorry that, to get you up. And the guy's like, it's fine, don't worry about it. But the
Seems
place...
really nice.
Yeah, the place has not been open for a while. Bedsheets might be dusty. Oh, no, the bedsheets won't be dusty because I still turn it over. But blah, blah, blah.
Couldn't be any better. He's gone from being soaking wet, lost in the woods in the dark, to having a dry, warm bed.
Yeah.
And the guy's just like, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Is this New Year's Eve?
No, this is Christmas.
It's Christmas Eve, yes.
So he wakes up in the morning, and he looks out the window, and his van is being towed into the farm. And he thinks, wow, this
is a service. This is great.
This guy's really, really lovely guy.
A smile with service, isn't it? It's brilliant. He's going to make me food. He's let me stay here.
He's
going to
breakfast.
tow the van back for me. Thank fuck for that. Let's get it sorted. I'll give him a good tip, and I'm going to get going.
Goes downstairs. He makes him breakfast. He says,
Thanks very much.
Making me breakfast.
You
he says,
are a diamond geezer.
It's all right. Don't worry about it, Mark. Not a problem at all. I think I can fix your van.
Yeah.
But I'll have a tinker with that in a minute.
Which is how good is that? He's a mechanic as well.
So he says, so you're a singer?
It's almost like he could look after him, doesn't it? He looks after him well. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. He says, you're a singer? Yeah, I am, Mark says. Yeah, I am a singer. I'm an artist. Mr. Bartel says, well, that's funny. I'm actually used to be an artist myself. I used to be a comedian. I won several awards.
Whenever anyone ever says to you, I have had previously places I've been where people said, oh, I've acted. Oh yeah, have you now? And I have to sit there and go, okay, what's about to happen? And at this point, if anyone ever says to you, I used to be a bit of a comedian, it's like, oh no, you're going to tell jokes, I'm going to have to go, yeah, brilliant.
That's a really funny joke. Why did you ever stop?
Yeah.
So yeah, they're having this conversation. They find out they've got something in common. Mr. Bartel thinks anyway, and he says, "Look, the phone's out. My landline is out at the moment. It doesn't work for whatever reason." He says there's no mobile phone signal, but I'll use my landline. And we don't know if this is actually him really speaking to somebody or not at this point.
The kid with the missing dog just pops up again, and the guy says, and he runs off again. But the guy says to him, just to reassure him, that he's never been the same since his dog went. So just
don't worry about him. He might maybe help him talk about his dog, maybe.
And for us, audience, we're presuming the dog went missing just this morning.
Mark says, well, "What about mechanics?" There's no mechanics here. Really, honestly, you're better off let me look at it. Honestly, let me cook for you first, make you breakfast, and then
let me look after you, and I'll look after the van.
Please. But listen. You've got to listen to me carefully, Mark. Listen, while you're enjoying my gorgeous breakfast I've made you. Listen, do not go to the village. Promise me you won't go, because the people there, they're not like you and me. They're not artists. They're a bit... they're just not nice people. Just don't go there. Promise me. Mark's like, all right, yeah.
Yeah, I'll promise.
Can I go for a walk? You can go for a walk around. Just don't go to the village. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And it leaves him to fix the truck because he's a nice fella, and he's going to go for a lovely walk in the countries.
I'll have a look round. I just won't go to the village. I
lovely
promise.
Countryside walk. Yeah.
Off he walks now.
He's hoping he's going to get some good sights, see some lovely, lovely things.
Some wildlife, maybe.
Some wildlife making sounds.
Things go wrong because as soon as he walks off, Bartel breaks into his van.
No, right, okay.
We're thinking, hang on a minute.
This isn't that nice fella.
He's just made him breakfast. Why is he breaking into his van?
What's going on?
He pretends to drive. I feel like he's pretending to be Mark at this point. He sort of shuts his eyes and sort of pretends to drive along. Do you know what I mean?
He kind of just wants to go, oh, this is quite an interesting life. I want to live this life. So he breaks around and literally looks around at things, finds the pictures of the Polaroids of the lady's boobs, puts them in his pocket.
He looks at his clothes, he
looks
lies
at
on
his
his
toothbrush,
bed.
lies on his bed, see how bouncy it is, checks out his clothes. He's really impressed with the shirts, goes, oh, this would be nice.
Loves it. He absolutely loves it.
He's basically also, this is the point where he crowbarred the back doors open and makes a massive dent in them, pulling them back like where you, for about a 3-inch dent, pulling the metal out with a crowbar, and that's what's going to happen. He knows that this is the point of no return.
I was about to say that to you. There's no way that he can cover this up.
So he reverses it into the wall so the doors are backed up. Which is fair enough, actually, because he keeps it away, keeps it at bay for a little bit more.
So that's what's going on with the van. Now,
I feel so
Mark?
sorry. But now knowing this movie and talking about it now, at this point here, I feel so sorry for Mark. Just not just what's about to happen, just the whole general thing. At this point, he just thinks he's like, oh, that's a lovely breakfast. Go for a little stroll, get back, fan's done, sweet. I feel so sorry for him.
He's thinking sometimes life hands you lemons.
Because it just doesn't get well.
I broke down in the middle of the night in the rain, but I've come across a really lovely guy, good cook,
nice
and he's
little
going to
village,
fix my van.
probably.
I'm just going to go for a walk, chill out.
Countryside's lovely. Countryside is beautiful.
Oh,
what's that?
There's a barn over there. I'm gonna go and have a look. What's going on in that barn? It sounds like it's an animal. Is it cows in there? There's definitely a cow in there. I can see a cow. Oh, there's some men in here.
What's going on?
So, one of them is losing his virginity to a pig.
Hang on, what's that? That younger lad's... And basically, lovely listeners, don't listen to this with your children.
Too late.
It's way too late. There's a dad there suggesting or stating to his son he should go on, get in there, son, and lose your virginity to a pig. Well, there's multiple people around watching, and a really big guy, and so that's the one. This is the point where Sarah's like, oh, I really don't like this. And it was the big guy. She's like, that big guy just watching. And it's just like, it didn't faze me. I don't know what that says about me, though.
It's what the words they use as well, because they bring the pig over and he says, "Oh, this is a very tender one." It's
fucking shocking and disgusting.
And then the noise, the sound
from the pig
of the pig, and I was listening to this with headphones on because I couldn't get a copy that I could watch that wasn't on my laptop.
Pigs are the horriblest of like sound-wise of creatures. Like when you see the pigs in a van going off to slaughter, and they know it, and they're in a van driving along, and you're just hearing the cries. It's like, oh my god.
Well, needless to say, Mark runs away because he's just witnessed some bestiality.
It's just
in the flesh.
Like, if the movie had nothing else going on, it had that one bit, it would be known as that movie that has that scene, you know?
The pig fucking movie.
Oh, the pig losing your virginity is not just that, though. It's a dad saying to his son, that's how you're going to lose your virginity.
There is some countries where it's very, very common practice to lose your virginity to donkeys in the village, for men to lose their virginity to donkeys.
What does the donkey feel about that?
He always says that.
Anyway. So he goes back after this. He doesn't say what he's seen. I'm shocked that he manages to keep that calm, because I'd be like, wow.
I've just seen a man fucking a pig, Bartel. I don't want any more bacon.
He said, can I not have bacon tonight?
He says, how was your walk? And he says, interesting. Yeah, saw some sights.
Yeah, he kind of knows that he's probably gone to the village, though.
He says, okay, well, anyway, look, the battery, I think I can get you a new battery and it can be fixed tomorrow, so you're going to have to just stay one more night.
He's not happy about it, but he says, I can make you a pie.
Let me make you a pie.
Everybody loves a good pie. I had a really good pie the other night next to a fire in a pub.
I love a pie.
I love a good pie. Steak and ale it was.
I've just had a mince pie, funnily enough. It's Christmas.
Oh, I had a steak and ale and some mash and veg next to a fire in a pub the other night. It's lovely.
Pies are very versatile. You can have them for dinner, lunch. You can even have them for breakfast if you want.
And American pie, you can have 6 of them.
Brilliant.
Versatile.
Fucking hell, don't say versatile and just swing your Pepsi. Versatile. So you can fuck it and eat it.
Don't make me laugh when I'm drinking.
Just like a pig, you can fuck it and eat it.
Oh, dude.
I'm not fucking the pig. These guys in this village are. So, dinner time. He makes him his pie and he says, I'll tell you about my wife, if you like. A story about...
So, yeah, all right, go on then.
Her name is Gloria. She left me. And we get the sense that he's really clinging on to the past. And this is where the David Brent stuff I mentioned earlier, because he
tells a joke.
Constantly talking about awards he's won.
Well, he tells a joke.
He tells this dwarf joke, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I don't even understand the joke.
Little person joke. Oh, yeah. Do you not understand it?
I don't get the joke, no.
It's because of the little players in America for table football.
Okay.
So when they come down, he's like, your table football players have got away.
Right, okay. His delivery was not very good.
No, I
think that's the point. And Mark just does that sort of, I see where you won awards for your comedy.
Yeah, see? That thing where you have to just go, oh yeah, and humour someone.
And then he says to Mark, would you do me the honour of singing me a song?
Mark says, I'll go to bed. And he says, you can't go to bed. I've just given you a joke from my profession.
Let's complete the transaction.
You've got to do from your profession what you do and give it back to me. And Mark's thinking, I didn't ask you to tell the joke. You're asking me to sing. That would be my statement.
Pie.
I'd be like, I can't sing on pie.
So he says, all right, look, I'll sing. So he goes, blah, blah, blah,
love
sing,
song.
blah, 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 and stops. And he says, whoa. Hang on, Mark. Come on, mate. I told you the full joke. I expect a full song from you. So Mark does actually sing about 2 minutes of this song to him, which is, the lyrics are along the lines of, flirting with you is all I can do, but we can do more if you like. We can go to bed. We can be together tonight. Do you want to be my wife? Let's get together. Let's stop flirting. Your lips, your eyes. And it's just a very sort of, you can imagine why the old ladies, when he sings that to them, why they're all going, oh, my knickers are wet. So, and he actually, he sings it with some conviction as well, because he figures, well, you know what, I am an artist, so I'll show him what I can do. But it's the wrong move, because while he's singing it, Bartel, something in his eyes just glazes over and he just looks at him like, wow.
You're my wife now, Dave.
I love you, Mark.
Yeah. Mark's not going home.
Yeah.
Mark is home.
Well, morning comes.
Well, he claps.
Well, he does.
He likes his
he gives him a round of applause. He says to him, can I thank you for that most moving of moments I've probably ever had? Mark's thinking, fucking hell.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even do the rap at the end. So Mark goes to bed and he wakes up in the morning. There's no Bartel around. Where is he? Strange. And Mark goes over to the phone and thinks, well, he used this the other day to call the mechanic, so I'll pick it up. Oh, hang on a minute, the phone's not connected to anything. Misery vibes straight away.
Mm.
So there's a bit of misery in this as well, isn't there?
Definitely.
That's very strange. So he gets in his van.
But this is really good, though. You maybe not spot this. For no reason at all, there's no other thing like this in this movie. The camera follows him as he walks over to the van. He goes into the van. The camera goes through the window with a seamless edit and the exact same amount of speed going tracking forward into the van. He does that, comes back out and comes back through the window again. Did you notice?
I didn't notice that because it was done so seamlessly.
Yeah, it was done so seamlessly, and it was like, that was really well done. And no other shot in the movie, like technical shot like that.
That would have
in
cost
this film.
a lot of money to do that.
No, not really. They're not actually going through the glass. They're like.
So there was no glass in the van when they did it, I suppose.
Yes, or they just edited it and then they just carried on. But yes, but it's so seamless. Maybe there wasn't any glass in the van. Something easy like that. But yes, it's really weird though. But there's no other shots like that. There's no other sort of. It's not like a Christopher Nolan movie where it's like all the time. It was just like this one time. Like, oh, okay.
I always love it's a similar shot to that, but even more crazy is in Children of Men, which we covered in an episode long time ago.
Pretty sure they've done that in Texas Chainsaw, one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remakes as well.
They did it through the hole in the guy's head all the way through the windscreen.
That's
quite good.
It's the same sort of van as well, almost.
Yeah,
interesting.
Right.
It's very, very Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's the Anchor Bay Texas.
What was the other one you said that the camera?
Oh, I was just saying Children of Men. There was one or two shots in there that were like this.
Okay.
Well, particularly where they
especially that beginning shot of Children of Men, the one.
The one, it's incredible. It's still one of my favourite pieces of cinema. Just that 5-minute scene is just phenomenal. We still need to do our one episode where we're going to do Rope and Silent House. And I actually now have the remake and the original Silent House. Yes. Oneers. One take.
Back to this.
So he's in his van. And while he's in the van, he sees the dog man again. Bella?
It's got a young sort of kid as well, and he just basically looks like he has like issues.
He's looking for Bella.
He looks like he's traumatized or something. Like it's trauma set in, and he's just in shock all the time. It's really weird.
Mark is checking the van, and he finds there are some things missing, including the entire battery.
Problem. Red flag.
There's a huge gap under the bonnet. He starts looking around the farm and he finds his boob Polaroids. He thinks, well, hang on.
So, but then he finds Bartel, but he kind of quite cleverly knows not to bring it up again, like the interesting walk to the village, with Bartel about it for a moment.
Yeah, because he's quite a clever guy, Mark.
He knows that this is not a good situation to be in.
He thinks, I'll just play this out best I can, try and get out of this, because I'm sensing there's something not quite right here. And there's tension immediately when he sees Bartel as well.
Yeah.
And he says, he looks around the farm, as I say, he looks around the farm, and this tension. They have this conversation, so it's very interesting. They have this conversation, and out of nowhere, Bartel just flips a switch and just starts smashing the van to pieces. Now, the version that I've got of this, did you see Mark get hit?
No.
Okay, good. So it's a strange choice, but they don't show it. So basically, Bartel's got the battery, and he hits Mark with it, but they don't show it. All of a sudden, Mark just falls to the ground, and we assume he's been hit with the battery because Bartel was holding it. Interesting. I don't know why they didn't show it, but it's fine. If that's the choice the director's made, not a problem. It's just a very strange choice. I thought they would have showed that.
Well, then it cuts to him waking up, though, and this is where the nightmare really begins, and he's in basically a dress.
Well, hang on. He set the van on fire as well, so his way of leaving is
now
gone.
He finds himself. He wakes up. He's in a dress. Looks out the window and sees Bartel setting his van on fire.
He says, "Don't break my heart, Mark. Don't break my heart."
Oh no, you are right. Yeah, sorry. He drags him upstairs in a minute and changes his clothes.
Yes, and he drags him into his house. He undresses him. He puts a blouse on him. He cuts his hair very crudely.
Oh no, because that's what it is. He goes back to his room, finds all of his clothes in the wardrobe, and now dresses.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
And basically, Bartel has got some plans for this guy.
You're my wife now, Dave.
He's lost his Gloria, so he's going to replace her.
If people know League of Gentlemen, that's from the League of Gentlemen.
And we get this really quite distressing scene of Mark sitting in the chair crying while his hair's being
cut off, and
he's in a blouse and dress.
It's really like yeah, this is a bad situation. This guy's like hurt. He's just that everything's going on. It's just like, whoa, this is just, I don't know what you'd think. What would you do? You'd wake
it's
up,
just the crying from Mark while he's having his haircut.
Yeah,
it's just...
Yeah. I love, just before he cuts his hair, though, he looks at him with the dress on, he rubs his hands together with glee. It's like, oh, God.
Then he puts Mark into the bed, and then we get this shot where just off centre, Mark's led on the bed.
And he's crying.
Bartel goes in and spoons him, and
I know, and then it cuts.
It
cuts. So
that's all we need to know.
I said to Sarah, "Did you think?" And she's like, "Of course." And I was like, "Oh no!"
It's a wake and fright moment.
It is, because the next day, Bartel, that morning, next shot, he is whistling. He is happy. Basically, he got laid last night.
Gloria's back in my life.
He hasn't had Gloria for a while. Now he's had Gloria.
Now he's had Glory Hole.
Oh, Gloria's glory hole.
So yeah, well, he's whistling, but Mark's tied to the tractor, and he's now a wife. It looks like. And he says to him, he's talking to Mark like Mark is Gloria. He's saying,
Do you think he wiped his Donald Pleasance on the curtains?
Yeah. He's saying to Mark, right, Gloria, gonna go and get this Christmas tree. Because, you know, Christmas is coming. It's only a day or two away now. Let's get the Christmas tree. It's a tradition. So you sit there at the back of the tractor, and I'll drive off and get the tree and chop it down, and we'll put it and we'll decorate it later. It's going to be brilliant.
This guy's basically
deluded.
Basically a prisoner, and not just a prisoner though. He's now someone's wife, to be treated as a wife in every manner.
He's wearing a skirt and a blouse.
Yeah, with his blood on his face, haircut, all points here and there, all fucked up.
When you say that this film is called The Ordeal, this is where the ordeal really starts.
It started already.
It's about to get a whole lot worse.
He does manage to run.
He runs off. Yeah, his hands are tied together, but he runs off into the woods.
He does well.
He gets very far, but he gets lost, as you can imagine. And then, sadly...
luckily, he stumbles across some people, which might help him. No. It's the villagers.
He gets his leg caught in a snare, doesn't he?
It's the first time we now see the villagers.
And they aren't going to help him, especially when they see him in a skirt.
Because the first thing, the leader, we know it's the leader, it's the older of the crew, the one we saw earlier getting his son to lose virginity, basically sort of says to him, "Oh, Gloria, you've come back," sort of thing. And it's just like, "Why did you leave, you slut?"
So she must have banged all the men in the village.
And we are going to treat you like the slut you were. And it's just like, he's hanging upside down, and this is like, oh my God. Like, what are these guys going to do? This was just one guy before. What are all these guys going to do? And it's just, okay, carry on.
Well, just before that, he gets his leg caught in a snare.
Yeah.
He sees the dog man.
On top of his calf, isn't it? Yeah.
He sees the dog man, still looking for Bella. And his name's Boris, the dog man. He says, "Boris, come back." Boris doesn't come back. And then he gets dragged to a tractor and crucified in a barn. And that's where the men are all wearing red coats, and they sort of talk to him about being Gloria. Bartel's crying.
Oh, he's lost him.
I've written here, he's lost his wife all over again. Because you can imagine something similar might have happened to Gloria.
Yeah, because very quickly, going back, and I said about the villagers finding him. The villagers don't find him. They see him, don't they?
Yeah, they just spot him.
They just spot him. They don't do the whole, like, "Where have you been, Gloria?" That's later on. Fine, right? Because he's still running in the woods, but they have spotted him. Right.
But he gets caught in the snare left free.
Yeah.
And then
the kid turns up while he's in, and the kid says, "Can you help him?" The kid's just like, "Where's my dog? Where's my dog?" And just wanders off again.
So he gets crucified in the barn by the men in the red coats. Boris enters the bar. Bartel enters the bar with a gun.
Hang on. Let me go back here. Yeah, so Bartel's in tractor with a torch, shouting. He's going around looking for him with the torch blown out, going, "Oh, you Gloria!" And the Boris lad finds him. That's right. Yeah. So it's the morning. Yeah, so he's still stuck there in the morning when he wakes up. That's right. But Boris drags him back to Bartel, though. And Bartel has him again.
And he goes to the bar.
And this is where the villagers again spot him from the distance, from the hilltop looking down. They see him on a tractor being taken back.
And he thinks, I need to have a word with these villagers
That's
about my wife.
Because he realises that he might have almost lost him, and if the villagers found him, they would have wanted the Gloria for themselves. Oh, but just before he does that, though, so he doesn't get away, he nails his hands into a beam.
That's what I'm saying. He gets crucified in the barn.
Right, I'm with you. And the villagers outside, and because they spotted him, they can hear outside, and so he's there with a shotgun, and he knows someone's there, so he looks out the window, and that's when he goes, "That's the fucking villagers. I need to go tell them who's the daddy."
So he pops down to the local pub.
Yeah, the creepy kids with the red anorex. That's right, and he goes to the pub. Now, the pub.
He walks into the pub and he says, "Right, listen, and listen good, you guys.
Yeah.
If any of you even so much as look at my wife, Gloria, I will fucking kill you. Listen, and listen carefully. She's my wife. Consider this my one and only warning."
And he's got his gun and everything.
And they're all just sort of looking at him.
It's kind of like your Clint Eastwood going into... It's not hardly Clint Eastwood, but Clint Eastwood going into a saloon, that sort of thing. Everyone stopping and looking.
And he leaves.
So they do have a bit of conversation back and forwards and that, but then he leaves. Now, I expected to hear at this point they go, "Right, what we're going to do, lads?" No. One of them just decides to start playing piano. Then, slowly, they pair off and start dancing together.
Yep.
Right now, we're going to take a little listen to the music from that, because first time I ever watched this, I was like, that is amazing. Now, obviously, you can't see the visuals, but I think this movie could be summed up by this merry, merry tune. As it's Christmas, let's have a little listen.
For anybody who's watched the Super Mario Brothers film with Bob Hoskins...
Great.
There's a point where he gets in a lift and he starts rocking one of the Goombas backwards and forwards.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
That's exactly the dance that they do. This weird... It's almost like Uncle Fester dancing with Lurch or something. It's just weird. I don't know if it's tribal, if it's ritualistic, but they dance with each other.
We go back to where we were, and Mark's eating some soup and stuff, and he kind of just doesn't say anything, kind of just agrees to whatever Bartel's saying to him at this point, because he is fucked.
He thinks, I need some food.
He's just like, whatever, I'm fucked. I need to just survive. I'll eat some food. It's just like, oh my God.
Bartel says to him, listen, Gloria, this is going to be, I'll make it like it was before. I'm going to reopen the inn. You and I are going to just live everything like it was before, okay? Okay, that's great, yeah. Meanwhile, Boris finds Bella.
Yeah, knock at the door. Boris is happy because he's found Bella. It's not actually a dog, it's a calf. He's found a calf.
A baby cow.
And he's going, yeah, cool, that's my dog. He brings it into the house. And they're all happy, and Bartel's like, well done! See, you were stubborn. I told you to be stubborn, because he does give him that advice.
And Bartel says, Gloria, it's going to be Christmas with the four of us.
He's sentimental. He's Christmassy.
You, me, Boris, and his baby cow are
the
going
new
to have
family.
Christmas dinner together.
The new family.
Fucking hell. Boris and his baby cow. Me in my Gloria outfit.
Just cow shit everywhere. Just like at the dinner, just stand there trying to eat some dinner the next day to Christmas. What? Imagine just that scene. It's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre at Christmas or whatever.
Well, this is Texas, because this next moment, Marx just starts crying and sobbing at the table, and they all start just going...
It is actually... honestly, this is actually Texas Chainsaw Massacre again. At this point, the camera spins around 360 degrees, looking at everybody, going round and round and round, and it is very, very, very Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And I'm sure Rob Zombie did this, didn't he, for House of a Thousand Corpses? There was a scene very similar.
Just doing it, because they're all doing impressions of him crying. This has been done multiple times in films where you've got that thing going on and the manicness of it, and if you've got like a wide lens and everyone quite close, as it goes around to faces, they're kind of large and warps, and it just makes it so much more crazy and claustrophobic. So yeah.
And it's cruel, because we as an audience want Mark to get out of this, but we're now in a position where everybody's just laughing at his pain and his suffering.
But there's a fucking bullet through the window. Pew! Boris is dead.
Boris gets hit.
Brown bread.
There's a home invasion.
It turns into a home invasion movie now, like Straw Dogs. It's like, what the shit? So, fucking old, what's he called? Bartell grabs his rifle, goes into, knowing that this stuff's going to happen. Mark's like, what the shit is going on with my life? I should have boned. He's like, I should have just boned that old lady. Like, it would have been so much better than this.
He actually says now, he fully accepts his role as Bartell's wife now, because he says, will you rescue me? Please rescue me.
Oh,
so he's now saying,
God,
you're actually, I'm better off with you, bumming me at night, against my will, dressing me as a woman, than I am.
Every one of these bumming me.
Shooting me, doing whatever. So please rescue me, look after me, be my husband, help me. So while the gunfight goes on, Mark starts crawling away along the floor, and Bartell gets hit by a shell.
Yeah.
And some men from the village just start storming in the castle with a big pig on a lead.
Oh, it's just insane
chaos.
here. Watching this in a cinema would have just fucked you up, because it's really bad. We cut to basically
because then it is really bad.
We cut to the ending shot of Taxi Driver, where the camera is in the bird's eye view, looking straight down, going through the floorboards where they took him out. We've done that with this movie, but it's Mark being grabbed by the men and bent over a table.
Well, before that, they make him sing. But he can't sing because he's crying so much. And they're all going, come on, Gloria, sing.
Yeah, with a gun in his mouth, he can't sing, no. And then it's like, why did you come back, Gloria? You left me like a slut. You will return like a slut, but do you want to fuck her?
And then my next note, I never thought I'd write this in one of my notes.
Yeah.
My note says, aerial shot of anal rape.
Yeah. And what makes it worse, I'll tell you, it's that shot overhead, and we watch him being picked up, put over the table, and the guy behind him dropping his pants, going for what he's doing. And worse of it, even worse than this, is the fact that Bartell is still alive, managed to shoot one of the guys, but the guy who's still doing the rape continues.
And then he pulls
while
out.
a gun's being shot next to him, like it's not like he's not being phased, and it's just like, this is just insanity. Absolute cinematic insanity.
There's a pig running around on a lead while all this is going on as well.
It is just too much.
But then he pulls out, and Mark sort of drops to the floor and manages to run off.
Oh my God, he runs out. Yeah, totally. Well, it's all still going ahead in there. This movie is fucking insane.
It's daylight now, and he's running, and he's still got his skirt on. He's covered in blood, and he's running and running and running and running. The men begin tracking him with a pig on a lead. This is like, your situation is just, talk about out the frying pan and into the fire.
Tracking pig.
You're just in a cauldron of burning oil for this entire film.
I've just never seen pigs used so much in this movie for various things.
Oh, sexual objects,
tracking pig.
When he manages to cross the stream,
bacon.
He goes through some swamps. He gets stuck in some quicksand for a bit.
This is another thing I like in this movie. I do like the really early, misty French woods. Like, just really good. And there's like swamps as well.
And then we get the point where you really, truly realise how mentally broken Mark is Bartell trying to catch up with him. He's obviously very badly injured, Bartell, and he gets caught in some quicksand and begins to sink.
No, it's not Bartell. It's the old guy of the gang.
It's the old guy.
And he gets in and just starts to go down, and Gloria
or Mark
goes back and just kind of squats
down in front of him and watches really close, only a couple of feet from his face.
But he asks him for help straight away. You're gonna, well, he's not going to help him.
Then he says,
but he said, this is a really good bit though, and he says like to him, Gloria, why did you come back? Just tell me you loved me, And
because he knows he's about to die.
He says, I loved you.
So he gives him
And
that.
it gives him like that, and then dies. And it was just like, after all he's gone through, this man's died. He still is a human being with kindness. It's like Christmas, isn't it?
He didn't have to do that.
No way. If anything, he could put his fucking foot on the guy's head.
He's been
and he just
raped
says, "I love
multiple
you."
times.
And like, that's, I don't know, very commendable.
And then
something I didn't expect.
We go to the credits with a Psycho-style score.
Well, yeah, well, he lets him sort of sink, there's loads of foggy shots, and then the film ends. What happened to Bartel? Oh, he was killed probably.
He got shot.
Yeah, so, and then there might be a few more men with the tracking pig out there, but, you know,
that's in part two.
Did we get him? Yeah, did he get away? Did he not? Let's not hope it was a part two. Did he get away? Did he not?
The end of this film reminds me a bit of the
The
end.
Ordeal 2 Electric Boogaloo.
The end of this film reminds me a little bit of the end of The Descent, because it kind of is a bit ambiguous. They're covered in blood. They've been through absolute hell. Very different situations, but still, you know, shit hits the fan and just continues to hit the fan, and that happens certainly in this film. It's a rough watch. It's not one I'll go back to often. It's the second time I've seen it, but that doesn't mean it's not. It's not a great film.
It's in my collection now, so I had to pick up a copy. And I was like, I've really been looking for it for years, and I've never seen it. So I was like, it's worth it now.
It's very hard to get hold of, actually.
Yeah. It's a really full-on film. I definitely recommend it, but like, I think we've held your hand through it. You know what's going to happen. You know, you're in sort of not Serbian film territory completely, but you're almost dipping your toe. Yeah.
But you're certainly in the same territory as Inside or Martyrs. Those kind of movies.
The fact that he's held prisoner and the rape and a lot of stuff like that is it's pretty full on. So be warned if you're going to watch it. If you're not into that sort of thing, this movie's not for you.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, I definitely recommend it.
It's made to not to shock. It's made to shake you, almost shake your senses, because even just choosing pigs and the sound that they make and the sound mix of them, throw that into gunshots and rape and everything else. It's just an assault on the senses.
I do quite like it, though. It's not going to be.
It's fantastic.
Next couple of years, I'll probably watch it again. I do like it. Now, one other thing, though, because I picked up the DVD, it came with extras.
Oh God!
If you think
a deleted scene?
No, if you think this was bad, you should watch the fucking 20-minute short film.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! This was more fucking full on than that. It must have been. It's so weird as well. Sarah watched it with me, and it's basically this girl who kind of lives by herself but can't get anyone, and she goes to get some meat from the butchers, and the butcher is Bartel, and the dog, the guy who's lost his dog, the little kid, he's there, but he has this really funny, weird kind of prosthetic head sort of thing on his head. He's got a really oversized head. It's really weird, and he kind of fancies her, but she doesn't really notice it. She orders a pizza. A pizza guy comes, delivers the pizza. She goes, great. And then she kind of coaxes him in and ends up essentially killing him and keeping him as a body to have sex with as he's dying. As he dies and that stuff, and she just keeps him, and he just turns into, and it's really good prosthetics. He looks just like a proper zombie, and she's just fucking him the whole time. And the neighbours are going, "What is that smell? What is that disgusting smell?" It's really fucked.
And what, that was on the DVD, on the Blu-ray?
That's a short film on a DVD extras. It's really fucked, man. It's like more fucked than this film. I was sitting there just going, "Oh, I wasn't expecting this." Yeah, wow. It's really full on, like some stuff in there which is really disturbing. At points where I'm like, "Oh my God." So yeah, just if you got the DVD, I don't know many people have got the DVD.
If one final film I would compare
one of our
this
patrons does in their house because I watched it once.
Oh God.
Yeah.
One of the other films I would compare this to, or a couple of films I would say, is Last House on the Left or I Spit on Your Grave. It's in that sort of category. So yeah, be warned. But big thumbs up. Gets 8 out of 10 for me. So both of these movies I'm giving an 8 out of 10. Both Christmas themed. especially Advent Calendar. They're both very gritty, though, especially Calvaire or the Ordeal. That's the one that I would probably say is for your more seasoned horror fans, to say the least. But the Advent Calendar is maybe slightly more accessible. But either way, Merry Christmas, dear sweet listeners. I'm really sorry that we put you through that, but also, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Do check it out if you can, and do check out the short film if you want to.
If you've got the guts.
I'm probably never going to watch it again. I might have to lend you the movie, lend you the DVD day. All right, well let's come back and sign out.
Okay.
And we're back again.
And we're back. That's the end of the Christmas times.
Now, very quickly, just following our conversation we just had, it was a stripper, actually, not a pizza guy who goes to get naked at a party, but there's no one there. It's just this one girl. Now, I found the short film on YouTube.
So this is... Oh, no, this isn't Last Weekend View, sorry.
No.
So this is the short film that was on the DVD.
In relation to the movie, yeah. Yes. The short film is actually on YouTube. It's only got... which is quite funny. Oh, it was only 10 months ago, actually. It's only got 200 views. Anyway, it's called... All right, here we go. Okay. Quando on est amour sieste merveilleux. So basically, I'll put that on the Facebook page as a link because I can't pronounce it. Can you pronounce it? It's there for you, Dan.
No, I can't pronounce it.
There we go. There we go. I'm gonna do that right this second, actually, while we record. Crazy live shit right here in the studio.
So there we go. If you want to watch this short that's on the DVD of Calvaire, then go for it. That was Christmas.
Yeah, it's pretty
very dark episode, considering all things light. That's why I wanted to do some Christmas miracles for World of the Strange, to brighten things up in the middle there. But we had a lot of fun as we do, and again, it's what makes our Christmas episodes just as even more special is that it's always an anniversary, another year of us podcasting. So next year will be our 10th year, which is crazy, really. But yeah. So what's coming up next, Gav? Should we discuss that?
Yes. Oh, it's an exciting one.
Episode 130 is Gav's birthday special. Gav, what are the two movies you've picked?
What is this episode quickly? I'm just putting this down on the old YouTube.
This is 129 we're on
129, right, there you go.
As we know, this is how it works, guys.
This is live, guys. So yeah, okay, cool. I'll just go post that, and that's that done. Now, yes, it's my birthday episode, ladies and gentlemen. Boils, ghouls, non-gendered peoples, aliens, Bigfoot, everybody else, and it's the best time of the year because we get to choose what we want the other fella to review, and you guys to listen to, and we get to choose movies which we like, which we haven't possibly covered, which is actually quite hard now because we've done quite a lot of episodes. But I've chosen, after a lot of going back and forth of different films.
One of these you've had the whole way through.
One of them to the point where I actually straight away went and ordered a Blu-ray of it. Yep. Reason being, it suffers with the AVP2 situation, where for some reason they've gone and put it out and it's black as anything. It is so dark. I don't understand why it's graded like this, or just for the final output. But that is the first movie we're going to cover is The Relic from
1997.
97.
Tom Sizemore.
I really love that film, to be honest with you. I kind of forget about that movie, and every once in a while I go, I want to watch that movie. It's a movie you just sort of every once in a while on Saturday night, be like, oh, it's on TV, or like randomly. So I've picked myself up a Blu-ray. Apparently the VHS is an alright copy, which you have.
I've got a big box ex-rental VHS from many years ago.
Apparently the colour's not too bad on there, but the DVD is bad, guys. So I would suggest you possibly try and stream it if you want to watch it beforehand. It's a real good film. The second film we're doing is another film, because Relic is basically about a monster kind of being transported to a museum and havoc that ensues. This next movie is also about a monster travelling in Siberia. And I am a great fan of this film, and I think people will be quite pleased when I tell them that the next film we're also going to cover is going to be Horror Express, The Horror Express.
1972.
Telly Savalas, Pete Cushing, Christopher Lee.
Who loves you, baby?
Who loves you,
Who
baby?
loves you?
I can't wait. I actually watched a movie the other day with Telly's Fellas, and he had hair.
No.
He was a detective and he had hair.
See, it doesn't feel right. It's like when you see Patrick Stewart when he had hair.
It was that movie which Scorsese and De Niro did, Cape Fear. It's original Cape Fear.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't actually into it that much.
I prefer the remake.
Yeah, I wasn't really into it at all, which is a shame. I thought it was going to be. Anyway, regardless of that, yes, those two movies, I'm well up for them. Dan, are you happy?
Episode 130, Gav's birthday. I am more than happy to cover those, especially the Relic. But I love Horror Express as well. So great stuff. It's a bit like The Thing. It's set in the snow.
And there's a mystery.
On a train as well.
A mystery going on, and I love that priest in it, the guy with long hair. He's just really creepy. So such good characters in that film.
It's like an
like
Agatha Christie film, but with the Thing on a
beast.
train.
Yeah. It's a really, really good film, and it's set in the winter. Yeah, definitely.
So episode 131, after that, we don't have the movies yet because just speaking with, it'll be a patron pick, so just waiting and speaking to our patron to finalise her films. And then, so I'll be contacting you soon just to sort of nudge you along on that one. But I'm sure you've got one or two in mind. And then episode 132, believe it or not, as we whiz into 2023, will be our Valentine's special. And, you know, heartthrobs, Valentine's, romance. What better movies?
Talking about us.
Of course.
Do you reckon we're heartthrobs? Do you reckon people have got posters of us on their walls?
I highly doubt it. But we will be covering
Oiled up,
two
massaging each other.
Christian Slater movies.
Yeah,
sexy Christian Slater. Those two movies are Very Bad Things.
Yeah, it's romantic. It's got a honeymoon situation going on. Well, not honeymoon. Sorry, it's a stag do, but it's about marriage, which is obviously love.
Cameron Diaz, isn't it?
Cameron Diaz is absolutely mental.
And then, what more Valentines could you get than the Christian Slater true romance?
I know, not horror, guys. I know the one before is quite got some death going on, so we can get that. But this one does have death as well. It's more of a cult thing. It's we're in the cult realm with this, but we're having a little bit of fun. We're stepping away a little bit from strictly horror.
It's horror adjacent, so it's still dark. It's still very.
And I can get my nerd brain on and just really get into some conversations about true romance. So just everything involved with that. Tarantino is a massive part of that. There's a lot of things going on there.
Some great actors, isn't it? It's
Tony
good.
Scott. There's a lot of stuff.
And also, just to be able to talk about Christian Slater, because I love Christian Slater.
Yeah.
Underrated, very underrated. So yeah, that's
I've always felt akin to Brad Pitt in that movie.
I wonder why. There are some great cameos and characters popping up in that one.
Yeah. Sometimes there's certain people in movies I look at and go, I can hang with that dude. or that's me. It's like Johnny Depp in Secret Window. There's many moments where it's just like, that's me.
A lot of people don't even realise, who maybe have seen the film once, that Brad Pitt is even in that film as that guy.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious, because he doesn't really have a big role.
I love him in it.
And he's just lying on the sofa for the lot of it.
Yeah.
Being extremely stoned.
Yeah.
But yeah, good time. So we'll talk about that.
I'm sitting in my dressing gown now.
You're dressing gown. You're sexy. It
was so much warmer earlier, and my house just got colder and colder as the temperature's gone and the boiler doesn't work. So.
Well, let's do the admin, and then we can say our goodbyes and our Merry Christmases.
Indeed.
We can go to bed before Santa Claus comes.
I know, it's before midnight. It's very early for us. We don't normally finish till late, do we? Yeah. So hopefully Santa's going to come into my place later. Drop his load in my chimney.
Oh God, Lord!
Every year the same gag.
Every year, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas.
About emptying his sack either.
Dreaming of a white Christmas, aren't you?
Snowballs.
So, the podcast on Haunted Hill is us, and we are a proud member of Legion Podcast Network. To find out more about them, go to legionpodcast.com, where you can find out about us and all the other podcasts and shows happening within the network. You can email us directly at the podcast on Haunted Hill at outlook.com. to tell us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, suggestions. How do I become a patron, Dan? Dan, you smell. Anything you want, just write to us. You can also contact us on Facebook. Don't tell me I smell. I already know. You can contact us on Facebook. Just go to...
It's a podcast got so advanced you can smell them now.
You can smell a vision.
Smell the hosts. That's going to make some podcasts bad.
Oh, God. So I'm trying to think of some, like, a sports one where there's, like, a guy who's really sweaty. So they're interviewing him on the podcast.
Yes.
Go to Facebook. Search for the podcast on Haunted Hill. That's our community, our family of weirdos and wonders. And this time of year, from sort of Halloween through till Christmas, it's a wonderful place to be. It's a wonderful place to be all the time, but particularly there because it's just so busy and there's always loads going on and everyone's sending each other well wishes and it's lovely. You can also go to the Legion Podcast Facebook page and interact there as well. Wherever you're listening to us now is where you can find us, but that is also on Spotify, YouTube Podknife, Apple Casts, Podcast Addict, many other places. We're on Twitter at Haunted Podcast. We're on Instagram, the Podcast on Haunted Hill Insta. We haven't talked much about it this episode, but we have a production company called Deadbolt Films, where we have comics, multiple podcasts, short films, feature-length films, and lots of other fun stuff. There's merchandise as well. Go to deadboltfilms.com to find out more. We are a YouTube channel, Deadbolt Films, just search that. Deadbolt Films Instagram is all one word, just Deadbolt Films, and Twitter is at Deadbolt Films. Most recent activity with Deadbolt Films was, Gav, what recently came out for Halloween?
Tape 3, yes.
Tape 3.
Short film, which is now available on there. It's a spooky one, so do check it out.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And we're actually going to get ahead and start with a new project in the new year and get that going. Yeah, it's cool. It's things getting done. It's so hard to do shit, I'll tell you. I've been writing an album over a year now. And it's just so hard to find the time to do stuff. It really is. But yes, we are still doing it because we all love doing this stuff. Like you and I will be always podcasting.
Always.
Even when we're zombies.
No one will understand what we're saying, which is...
Everyone else will be zombies too, so it's fine.
Talking of podcasts, Gav, you also do another podcast called High Strangeness with the lovely Sarah, where you guys discuss true crime, Bigfoot, bumming, UFOs.
We're doing Urban Legends next. I actually watched a bit of Urban Legends yesterday, the movie. That's a terrible film. It really is.
Crocodiles in the sewer, men with hooks hanging you in the trees, all that kind of stuff. So that's what you'll be doing.
Crazy shit sometimes.
So that's the High Strangeness, and I do a show with RJ McCready called Blame It on the Aliens podcast.
It's a very enjoyable show you do with lots of different things of alien nature, possibly.
Yes, well, we look at lots of sort of urban legendy type things and pick apart whether it's something that can be blamed on aliens or whether it's something that's real or not. The most recent one we did was the moon landing conspiracy and whether that is a cover-up or whether it actually happened even, or whether Kubrick directed it. It's interesting if you want to listen to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And finally, the podcast on Haunted Hill is on Patreon. If you want to support the show in another way, rather than just listening or talking or whatever, and you want to actually, in a monetary way, support us, you can. You don't have to do it, but we do have some patrons, and we are incredibly grateful because that money does help the show to keep going, buys equipment, helps us sometimes when we can't find a film that we need to buy or rent. It really helps with that as well. And there are rewards. You get a free t-shirt and exclusive access to additional content, old episodes, side episodes, music, lots of other bits and bobs as well. And most excitingly, as Gav mentioned, you get to interact with us by picking for a whole episode your own 2 films for us to review. When it comes to your turn, it'll be patron pick, and you tell us what you want to review, and we will do that. So that's another one. And as always, our patrons get a name check. I'm going to do that now, Gav.
Check. Thank you very much, patrons. We love you to bits, honestly. We enjoy doing this as it is. We enjoy the fact that everybody just listening to us. Thank you. But giving that little bit extra by donating stuff to us is just so good. Thank you.
So thank you very much to Don Collier, Matthew Godney, Jamie Jenkins, Kevin S. Fife, Sarah Kay, Rachel, RJ McCready, and Alex Boo. We love you and we thank you immensely.
So much.
Merry Christmas to all our patrons. Merry Christmas to all our listeners, to all your friends, family, to all our friends and family, to Gav, to you and your beautiful family.
And to you, dear sir.
Thank you so much. Another year is wrapping up. Another year of podcasting. We're a little bit older, a little bit wiser. I don't know if that's true. A little bit greyer. Perhaps. I'm certainly a little bit chubbier around the midsection as I've become a dad.
Yeah, you're going formed into dad bod now.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
I've obviously been a dad bod for many years now, so I'm a little more toned up than the old dad bod, I'd like to say nowadays. I'm, not too bad.
I've got this lovely little rubber ring in the middle that the kids sort of sit on when I carry them around. It's
exactly,
perfect.
And it's just great then on you, and then just they're little. You need a big belly.
But yes, another Christmas done and dusted, and I hope Santa brings you guys everything that you asked for, whether it's a fleshlight, a pig called Bella, or a creepy German advent calendar that grants you the ability to walk again, but you have to feed Gav after 8 minutes for the rest of eternity.
Me moaning constantly. Oh,
with a
not
flashlight.
another one. I love how you have a flashlight and the next thing you says pig. Like, dude.
Well, you can have one or the other.
It's too close to mark. Yes, I hope you do. I saw in a supermarket earlier, look up on the thing, just said vibrator. This is a vibrator in a box. Where's the female man vibrators? the male versions. But why are they not? I think it's sexist. They should be up on the supermarket. I think that's very sexist.
I can't answer that. I don't know.
If I had enough money, I'd start my own.
Do you have, before we go and we say our goodbyes, do you have any Christmas jokes? You've usually got something terrible.
What do you mean I've always got something terrible?
You've usually got a good Christmas joke. One that you can drop on us. One that you'd get in a Christmas cracker, perhaps.
I actually did one of them. Literally made one up, and I was driving along with Elijah, and I was like, "I'm so good at dad jokes. It's not funny." I said, "That's so funny." It was something to do with a zombie, and it was because they're dead tired. But
oh God!
And I made it up on the spot, and it was really good. But we'd just go with something nice and easy. Why did Santa go to the doctor? Because of his bad elf.
Oh. I'll drop one on you, which is, what is the difference between the normal alphabet and the Christmas alphabet?
What?
There's no owl in the Christmas alphabet. No owl. Nowhere, oh nowhere. Well,
I thought we were going to sing.
It's a good night and a Merry Christmas from a man looking for his pig Bella, who is actually going to turn out to be a cow.
I thought it was dog Bella.
I don't know why it is disturbing.
Yeah, I like the fact we do this podcast so we can actually really sit down and scrutinise films such like that. And then discuss it. But yeah, good discussions all around. Thank you very much for listening. I hope everyone has a really great Christmas. Stay safe, stay happy, don't drink and drive. Just snort and fly.
Wow. There's some hot advice for you guys to wrap up your 2022. Let's hope 2023 is just as cokey.
Higher, baby. Get high, baby. Can't wait for Cocaine Bear.
It's going to be, I was going to say, 2023 is going to be cokey because we got
Cocaine Bear. The Meg 2, directed by Ben Wheatley.
Fucking hell.
I'm just all over this shit. Maybe 23 is the year of the animals. I think so. I don't know. But come on, Cocaine Bear. Even a trailer looks. Even if it was shit, I'd watch it. But it looks like that actually. I was straight away and I said to Sarah, "That's going in the collection straight away." I've not even seen the movie, and it's going in my collection.
It looks great. It really does.
Anyway, everybody, stay safe and thanks for listening. We'll be back in the new year.
We'll be back in next year, yeah.
God. In 40 years' time, Jack, we still be doing, we'll be back next year, like the old guys in the Muppets.
Episode 502.
Yeah. All right, let's get out of here.
Good night, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Goodbye. Thank you for listening to the podcast on Haunted Hill. We will be back again real soon.